Hey everybody, my name is Paul Eston Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We're streaming live simultaneously in 3 different locations. The Heavy on Jets Facebook page to over 25,000 New York Jet fans. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. Make sure you guys like the video and hit subscribe down below for more great content on the YouTube channel and also on my Twitter account at BoyGreen25 as well. Guys, this is a show by the people for the people. If you'd like to get involved on the show, jump into the comment section. And again, feel free to do that on Facebook and YouTube to get those comments in here on the program. And I'd really appreciate it. By the way, here's the news. Mike LaFleur has been fired, or mutually parting of ways, which is the way I've broken up with every girlfriend in my life. It was a firing. More on that just in a second. And they did it. So we're here live, 9:30, late here on a, what is it now? Wednesday? Yeah, late on a Wednesday night to discuss the reactions to Mike LaFleur being fired. We'll go through several of the candidates, several of the ripple effects, several of the reporting. There's a lot to get into. And of course, we'll dive through all of your guys' comments here on the show. So what happens? Let's kind of go through a couple of different things here to kick off the program. Over a week ago, on Monday, heading into Dolphins week, Robert Saleh said that he's been in the shoes of Mike LaFleur before from his days in San Francisco, and he did not want to fire Mike LaFleur. He didn't say that in such words, but he simply indicated that, it's not one man and that, he's been in those shoes before. So it seemed like Saleh was leaning towards keeping LaFleur. After the Dolphins game, he sung a completely different tune and said he had to look at the process and essentially left the door wide open that he could be moving on from Mike LaFleur. Earlier today, Aaron Wilson, NFL Insider, reports that Mike LaFleur is being fired. Several of the beat reporters all get the same message from the same Jet source that all says, not so fast. Here are some of the comments. They're, quote, still deliberating. I heard from Jeremy Fowler this morning that they were, quote, unquote, still torn on whether or not to move on from Mike LaFleur. That came from this morning. What really happened is the Jets wanted to try to reassert the message. Aaron Wilson was correct this morning. He's been mostly right, although he's been wrong on a few Jet things before. So I think a lot of people kind of weren't sure how to take that report from him earlier. I know from my work here on Heavy on Jets, we've had a few cases where Aaron Wilson has reported incorrect items on the New York Jets, so had to wait for that full confirmation. The Jets wanted to redo the message, and ultimately he leaves. I want to go through a couple of things here that just don't make any sense. First off, Mike LaFleur is fired, and the narrative that's kind of being played by several of the talking heads, Ian Rappaport, Connor Hughes, and others, is that they believe that there was a lot of interest around the league and that Saleh wanted to keep Mike LaFleur, but after the interest that was expressed from other teams, they said, okay, we'll let him go. How the hell does that make any sense? If you choose to retain a guy and you change your mind on whether you want to keep a guy as your offensive coordinator because other people want him, okay, in that case, are the Baltimore Ravens just going to release Lamar Jackson so everyone can all of a sudden jump on board? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. So, again, I'm going to have to aggressively push back on that until I hear from Connor Hughes and or any of the other people that are sharing that reporting and have them on my show. We could ask them those questions to try to get clarity because, to me, that doesn't make any sense. So the ton of interest, I totally I don't dispute that he's going to get a job. His last name, nepotism. And again, he has a lot of friends in the league, brotherhood. Mike LaFleur is going to get a job. I'm not contesting that. But that being the reason why the Jets moved on doesn't make any sense. Another one here. Let's get to this real quick. Woody Johnson, okay? Because we mentioned over a week ago that Robert Saleh did not want to move on from Mike LaFleur. He made that very clear at the press conference. So from that press conference moving forward, we said to ourselves, well, if the Jets end up moving from Mike LaFleur, was it because Woody Johnson tampered and kind of started to meddle, to use that word, in with the coaches, which would be a bad sign both for Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, and everybody moving forward. I get a lot of people are saying that, but I have to say this. I don't think that's what happened here. I don't. I do not. I think Robert Saleh was truthful after the game on Sunday, saying he has to go through the process. He and Joe Douglas are sharing communication. I think they got in a room after the game and said, we got to move on from the guy. He was not able to deliver. And a lot of people are calling this a scapegoat firing. And when people say scapegoat, they indicate that the person that was fired wasn't part of the problem. To me, he wasn't part of the solution. let's just call it how it is, okay? I see a lot of narratives out there on social media saying Mike LaFleur didn't deserve to be fired. When you don't score a gosh darn touchdown in the final 3 games of the season, when your playoff lives are on the line, you deserve to be canned. Mike LaFleur has no one to blame but his gosh darn self. That's the truth. That's the harsh truth, apparently, that some people don't want to say. That's the facts. Those are the cold, hard facts. He deserved to be canned. Okay. I don't like celebrating people getting fired, but that's just the truth. That's the blunt truth. People don't want to say it. People want to blame Zach Wilson. People want to blame injuries. Injuries happen in the NFL. An offensive coordinator's job is to be handed ingredients and make the best out of your ingredients. When he had Brees Hall, they were explosive. When they had this guy, they were doing this. When they had that guy, they were doing that. That is when it was easy. When you have all the talent, it's easy to do it. It's a lot harder when you don't have the full ingredients. There is no excuse on an NFL team to not score a touchdown in 3 games. That's embarrassing. That's pathetic. And that's why he lost his job. So, were there moments of bright Mike LaFleur? Absolutely. But it's time to move on, and they made the correct decision. Now, how correct of a decision it is will depend on who they replace him with, and we'll be talking about that tonight as well. All right, let's dive into comments. I see we're loaded with comments. This is beautiful. By the way, guys, 2 ways you guys can show love to the show. First off, in a free way, everyone who's watching right now can like the video on YouTube and hit subscribe. Again, all kinds of New York Jets content all off season long. We've got some exciting stuff coming for you guys. And if you guys would like to dive into your pockets and share a YouTube super chat, that feature is also available on our YouTube channel. Throw a little change in our tin cup. We'll do a little dance for you, give you a shout out here on the program. All right, let's start going through some of these. Let's go from the top. Okay, we have Hawk. Some of this was coming in before the show even went live, but here's from Hawk. The last day or so, I started to accept the fact that we might keep LaFleur and add a veteran mind to the offensive staff, which, quick detour, is what Robert Saleh said is going to happen no matter what. They are going to add a veteran to the staff, and that isn't necessarily just an offensive coordinator. That could be an additional person to the room. We will see what happens there. Back to Hawk here. And although I feel bad for him, this was the right move. Rip the Band-Aid, 100%. I think there is a sense, if you would have brought a veteran into the room, that you're like, it's a half Band-Aid approach to try to say, well, we don't want to get rid of LaFleur, but he's obviously not doing well enough, so we need to add the veteran. I think it's better just to have conviction in your decision and move on from him and go in a different direction. I think that is for the best. Back to Hawk again. 2 years of the same mistakes. A talented roster devolving on all fronts. Change had to be made. Start over with new OC, veteran guy, simplistic offense, someone who can coach up the young talent. Yeah, I'm open to seeing new stuff. I think that's going to be key. Let's see. Travis, bring Minshew in. I'm not a big fan of Minshew, but I will use this, Travis, on YouTube to launch a different conversation as we talk about some of these candidates and decisions. Offensive coordinators are going to be linked to quarterbacks. That's going to be a big thing here because I think there's going to be 2 things here. First off, a coordinator is going to have to come in, and the Jets are going to have to sell insert coordinator on what veteran quarterback they plan on chasing this offseason because they're going to add somebody. Zach Wilson is the only quarterback under contract, and Chris Trevler now is as part of the 90-man roster moving forward. But really, Zach Wilson's the only quarterback on the 53-man roster under contract, and they're going to have to add people to the room. That's just going to have to happen. And I think some of the connections between what veteran they bring in, how the offensive coordinator, because you're going to hire the offensive coordinator first before you get the quarterback. I think some of those connections will be important. By the way, quick side note, speaking of quarterbacks, I think there is a unintended consequence from moving on from Mike LaFleur. Now, whether it's good or bad, that's up to you guys to decide, but I just want to bring it up. With Mike LaFleur being fired and no longer on the staff, I think now Jimmy Garoppolo isn't coming to the Jets. Here's why. I think a draw to Jimmy Garoppolo, who will be a free agent, was the 49ers scheme, which was Mike LaFleur, John Benton, all the 49ers people in the room. That draw was Jimmy Garoppolo could say to himself, okay, I could get a bag of money and go to the same system on the opposite side with different weapons in Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. That's super attractive. Now that Mike LaFleur is gone, I mean, we have to see who the guy is. Maybe they just hire another San Francisco guy, but there is a greater than zero chance that Jimmy Garoppolo no longer comes here. Now, a lot of you may be saying to yourself, well, great, I didn't want Jimmy Garoppolo anyway, and that's fine. Again, I had my own concerns about the durability, and I've made that very clear on this show. However, I would say this. Removing a quarterback from your list of options is dangerous because we're playing a game of musical chairs here in the quarterback during the offseason. The music's going to stop and someone's not going to have a seat and you're going to be stuck. And that stuck could be Gardner Minshew, Zach Wilson, Mike White. There's a chance that's how you get stuck. So if Jimmy Garoppolo isn't going to come here, fine. But then you need to land Derek Carr. You need to land Aaron Rodgers. You need to land Lamar Jackson. Like, okay, you're not going to get that guy. But that guy was such a logical fit in so many ways that worst case getting Jimmy Garoppolo this offseason wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Again, I don't love him from the durability perspective. That scares the heck out of me, but he's better than some of the other options that are out there like Minshew, in my opinion. So that's something to keep an eye out for when we find OC who connects to OC. For instance, there's Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco connection, Greg Olsen, Derek Carr connection. That's another guy from the Rams staff who's potentially out there. That's a connection that you can make as well. And then they grow even bigger than that. Nathaniel Hackett, who's hanging out there, direct correlation to Aaron Rodgers. But again, that's just a greater conversation of coaches connected to quarterbacks and how that could give you a hint on where the Jets are leaning this offseason. Just wanted to throw that out there as well. Let's go to Prestige Shogun. It's clear they're either getting an OC to unlock Zach Wilson or they're getting the perfect guy for Lamar Carr. Or maybe the answer is both. Prestige is that in a perfect world, they get a quarterback who believes in Zach Wilson. I mean, it'd be kind of weird to get an OC that doesn't, and Zach Wilson's on the roster, but also who is capable of working with the veteran quarterback and has some experience from a play calling perspective. Steve here on Facebook. Coaches should be chomping at the bit to come to such a young, talented team. Yeah, I think you can look at it in two ways. To me, I am a glass half full guy by nature. So I am an optimistic guy by nature with everything I do in my life. So if I was the optimistic guy looking at the Jets job, there's a lot of attractiveness here. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. The New York market, I think, is really impressive. And there's also this. The Jets have made the playoffs in 12 years, which to some could be a net negative. To me, it's a net positive because, wow, if I get this team to the playoffs, I'm going to be the hottest coordinator name in the world. So maybe a person can look at the Jets as a stepping stone. And if they're a stepping stone, they could go get that head coaching job or a more lucrative OC position, or things are going so great the Jets give you a massive raise. So I think there's a lot of positives from that perspective. Now, you can also look at it in that same light from a negative perspective. They don't have a quarterback figured out yet. That's a negative. Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas are under a playoff mandate for 2023, which means if they don't get there, all of our asses are getting fired. So going into a situation that at least there's a chance you could get dumped after 1 year may not be one that everyone wants to dive into. So there is, arguments and pros and cons for both sides. But to me, I am a guy that goes from that perspective. Jose Garcia sounds like a Woody move again. Again, that's possible, but that's not where I lean. I believe it's Saleh being honest with himself that at the end of the day, Mike LaFleur didn't perform well enough, and I think he was just man enough about it to do it. But again, it could be either way. We won't know, and maybe it'll come out, but I don't think so. I don't believe this was Woody. I believe it was Saleh going, man, the writing's on the wall here. He has not performed well enough. 19 New York Jets 6-9. What's up, Boy Green? Do you think he should have been fired? I mean, again, I say it in this way, not to try to cop out of the question. I think he didn't do enough to not be fired. Again, he didn't score a touchdown in the final 3 games of the season. And even beyond that, it wasn't just a 3-game stretch. In a greater sense, since like week 11, whatever the stat was, like his offensive numbers were terrible. The Jets, even in the Mike White, like, oh, wow, this is great. The Vikings game, 1 touchdown. And the Buffalo game, 1 touchdown, because combined, they only had 1 touchdown in those 2 games that Mike White went crazy, right? 4 field goals in the Buffalo game, and then only the 1 touchdown in the Vikings game. And that was on that weird QB sneak that really even wasn't a touchdown, but it ended up being 1 for 6 in the red zone. That's why. Like, again, there is enough dead bodies in the offensive room that Mike LaFleur is responsible for. Now, some people will say no one could have, done well in that scenario with the injuries and the quarterback play and 4 different quarterbacks in this. I don't know. To me, I think that there was more than enough problems in year 1 that were also there in year 2. And Mike LaFleur didn't get in his bag enough, to be honest with you. He played it too safe. He played it way too close to the vest. He had opportunities to expand beyond that, and he didn't do it. So I am okay with the firing, and I'm excited about some of the options that will be available. Greg, let's get right into it. You mentioned the guy that is number 1 on the top of my list. Some people will say it's unrealistic. I don't think so. Frank Right. The former Indianapolis Colts head coach is my number one guy. If you guys would like, on my YouTube channel, just go through the videos or simply search for Frank Reich Boy Green. It will come up on your YouTube. I have a full video explaining why I believe he's number one. I'll give you some of the spark notes here, and it's this. Frank Reich is a highly successful guy that has been around forever. He's a former quarterback, former Jets quarterback, wink, reunion, baby, but former quarterback. He's been around the league. He has been in successful situations. Of course, we talk about him being a head coach in Indianapolis. He was also part of the Eagles offense, okay, that won their first Super Bowl ever. Now, some people have combated the Frank Reich stuff, said he didn't call plays with the Eagles. And whether or not he did or not with Doug Peterson there, to me, it doesn't matter. He was in the room. He was part of Carson Wentz being an MVP. He was on that offensive staff, and he was the offensive coordinator there. So he was responsible. You can't just not give him any credit for that. To me, I think that's ridiculous. He was in the room for Carson Wentz to be an MVP. Big part of that. Number two, Nick Foles, when he was thrown into the mix after Carson Wentz got hurt, he ended up leading them to a Super Bowl. That wasn't magic. That wasn't random. That was Frank Reich's ability. So he has a direct connection to Joe Douglas, who, of course, was with the Eagles when they won that Super Bowl. So you have the direct connection to Joe Douglas. He's a former Jets quarterback, so why not come back home? And it's an opportunity to rebuild this brand to jump into the head coaching waters. Now, he's getting head coaching interviews right now, but just because he's getting head coaching interviews right now doesn't mean he's going to get it. Eric Bieniemy of the Kansas City Chiefs has been getting head coaching interviews for years, and he hasn't gotten diddly squat. So I still think there's a chance that Frank Reich misses out on this cycle, and he needs a year to do something. Now, he could just sit on the ranch with the kids, the grandkids, or he could do coaching this year and then rebuild himself for next year. That's how I see it. Frank Reich would be number one on my list, no question about it. Again, we'll be getting into more candidates in a little bit. Rager here. So the whining Zach, as you called him, I did, was on the right side. I'm not so sure I agree. Again, the tough coaching or not tough coaching may or may not be the reason that he was fired. Again, and Rager, I know we've been going back and forth on YouTube, and that's perfectly fine. I'm more than willing to bring people up that disagree with my takes or don't believe in them in some form or fashion. And to give some context to this, Steve Young called out Mike LaFleur, said his tough coaching on Zach Wilson was not the right way to go about it. And he suggested Cliff Kingsbury as a potential offensive coordinator replacement. And he said Zach Wilson needs a guy who's young, innovative, creative, that could come in there and believe in him, and that's what he needs. Again, I love Zach Wilson. If anyone has been a fan of me for any period of time, I've been made fun of for how much I've invested and believed in Zach Wilson. The videos are out there. If you want the proof, if you want the receipts, wink, Robert Saleh, feel free to check him out. I will tell you this. The tough coaching or not tough coaching, whether or not that was it on Zach Wilson, is irrelevant to me. The thing that is important is Mike LaFleur failed in the development of Zach Wilson. There's no question about it. There's no Mike LaFleur truthing here or Zach Wilson truthing. The fact of the matter is, in 2 years, he was not able to get the most out of Zach Wilson, and that's also your job as a coach. So he failed in that right. And just because he was fired doesn't mean Zach Wilson had no wrongdoing. He sucked in his own right and did not perform up the standard. Now, I do hope and believe that once a coach comes in here, he can get the most out of Zach Wilson. He has a lot of talent, and the Jets are going to believe in him. So I believe in that going to happen. But appreciate the comment, Rager. Let's see. Let's go to Wilner Olivier, maybe. I guess Michael K was right about Woody Johnson liked Zach Wilson and wanted to keep him despite not being liked by the locker room. Same old Jets. Again, I don't know if I buy that it was a Woody Johnson thing. I am not sure if I buy that. Finger Lakes Jet fan. Darrell Bevell seems to be the big name. That's a name that I'm seeing here that has a lot of connective tissue. And I believe Connor Hughes and a few others have said that should be the favorite, quote unquote. For those who don't know, Darrell Bevell is the Dolphins quarterback coach and passing game coordinator. He's a 53-year-old. He's been an offensive coordinator for 4 different teams, including the Seattle Seahawks when Robert Saleh was on the staff. This season, he's been working with Mike McDaniel, the other Robert Saleh connection, and Kyle Shanahan Tree. So the fit seems to be seamless from that perspective. And again, there's a lot of heat potentially around Darrell Bevell And also, we're hoping to bring on Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic. He had a great article. You guys can check it out from The Athletic, where he dove into like 15 plus names as offensive coordinator possibilities. We'll bring up a couple of those on the show. We're hoping to have him on the show tomorrow to go through this list in some detail and provide some inside sourced info on what really transpired here. So we'll go through a couple of the names as well. MM Morris, Michael LaFleur saw the writing on the wall and left. I'm not sure I buy that. I've heard some people say that. I'm not sure I buy that. So we're saying here that the Jets say the Jets say, okay, we want to keep you. Michael LaFleur's like, no, this is a crap show. I'm leaving. No, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I do not. Let's keep going here. Foles as an option. God, no. God, I hope not. Although hopefully you're just giving credit for what Frank Reich did. Well said, Paul. Thank you. He totally deserved it. Facts. Appreciate that. Let's go to Rico the Pup. Didn't deserve to be fired. My ass on my recliner shouldn't be able to call out the play that easily. Garrett Wilson said it himself. Defense knew what they were doing. Yeah, I'm not sure if Garrett Wilson meant to throw Michael LaFleur under the bus and back him over it. But yes, Garrett Wilson had a comment where he said, hey, once people saw tape on us, it was over. We couldn't really move the ball or do anything. That is a clear indictment on Mike LaFleur. So 100%. Rob Broadhead here. Agreed. He didn't have the chops for the job. I will say this. Michael LaFleur, when he was hired, because it's easy to be prisoner of the moment and say, what a loser. How the hell did he get hired? Like, I think it is, I think it's very clear to me that, sure, his last name helps. How does it not? All of us get our jobs in different ways. His last name is sexy. His older brother is a wildly successful coach with the Green Bay Packers. He has been around Kyle Shanahan his entire career, followed him from Cleveland, Atlanta, all over the place. So, again, he has that backing. So he's forever going to have a job as part of the brotherhood of NFL coaching and knowing people, and that will always get you a job. But he did have the chops, quote unquote, with being around the right people, and he was deserving to be hired. Now, he just didn't deliver. Now, that's something he will have to reconcile with, and I'm sure he's going to get a job somewhere else. I'd be surprised, quite frankly, if he didn't, especially with the rumored and reported interest around the league. But yeah, I believe he had the chops. He just didn't deliver. And I guess that's something, again, he's going to have to clear with his pastor, I guess. Let's go here. Alessandro here. Kubiak, Reich, or Bevel. We just talked about Bevel. We talked about Reich. Kubiak. Gary Kubiak is who I'm assuming you're saying. According to Rich Cimini, he does not plan to come out of retirement. He was most recently with the Minnesota Vikings. I believe that was 2020 as their offensive coordinator and assistant to the head coach, and then he retired. And again, according to Rich Cimini, his latest nugget tonight is he does not plan on coming out of retirement. Zach Rosenblatt reiterated the same thing in his piece, but there is one path, one way that he potentially comes out. And it's if the Jets somehow hired a father-son combination where they hired Gary Kubiak and his son Clint Kubiak. Now, Gary, again, is retired, but a multi-time Super Bowl champion, both as a head coach and as an assistant. His son, Clint Kubiak, who is currently the Broncos passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach. That didn't go well this season, but I digress. Now, technically, Saleh has never worked with the son, but he certainly knows him from the ties to his father. They're all connected from the Houston Texans days. So that one is potential if it's a partner deal of bringing the whole family in. Although you may say to yourself, after the family ties with Mike LaFleur not going so well, maybe we shouldn't just keep going, we are family. Maybe not after everything that just happened. So keep that in mind as well. 19 New York Jets 69. All we need is a decent vet quarterback. I'd sit Zach most of the season. He needs to be developed properly. Again, I think that is the plan. There may be an outside chance that a coordinator comes in here and says Zach Wilson is the best. If I get my hands on him, he's going to be great. I think that is possible that they like Zach Wilson, but him as the sole starter, I would be surprised at. So I think you're right. I think they are going to bring a veteran quarterback in, Zach Wilson, number 2, and hopefully you get like let's just say Derek Carr, for example. I know a lot of people hate Derek Carr apparently, but you get Derek Carr. He's playing great. Zach Wilson's developing quietly behind the scenes. And if Derek Carr were to get injured, Zach Wilson steps in. He's the guy. So that's certainly possible. Steve 232. I can't see it getting worse. I guess we don't score at all. Yeah, maybe instead of the field goals. Although Greg Zuerlein is a guy I'd like to see brought back. So yeah, it can't get worse. So it's only going to get better. So that would be nice. That would be nice as well. Um, let's go to George Mulatto here on YouTube. In reality, he's just one scapegoat. Should have been Saleh for picking the wrong OC in the first place, but next season he's next, maybe JD too. Now, I will add to this. Obviously, it did not work with Mike LaFleur, but people aren't normally fired for picking the wrong offensive coordinator. You could get fired for picking the wrong quarterback, and maybe ultimately that's why Saleh and Joe Douglas end up getting fired if my brain's not working. If Zach Wilson doesn't ultimately deliver in the future, maybe that's why. But normally you don't get fired for picking the wrong OC. So you have multiple opportunities from that standpoint. So that I don't know. And then in terms of one scapegoat, I'm not saying he was the sole problem, but again, he wasn't part of the solution. He was having too many mistakes and blowing it in his own right. He had terrible play calls on third and short, fourth and short yardage throughout the entire season. True. He didn't score a touchdown in the final 3 games of the season. True. Again, he just couldn't do enough to get the job done. So again, I'm not saying you fire the OC now. Everything's going to be hunky dory. Let's see who they hire, but I think it's fair. Joe Campione, how are you telling a new OC that Zach is a quarterback? Nobody worth anything is taking this job. I disagree, but we'll see what happens, Joe. Again, I don't think that's what they're going to say. I don't think they're like, hey, it's Zach Wilson or bust. And everyone goes, yeah, kick rocks, pal. Again, I think they're going to sell to whoever the OC is a quarterback plan. Hey, here's our list. Zach Wilson's here, and we hope you can develop him and hope he's a guy you like. On top of that, we're going to get a quarterback. Here's our power rankings. I'm making these up. Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Tom Brady. We're getting these guys. These guys fit your system. Let's go to town. The offense coordinator says, yeah, baby. I love that plan. Those guys fit my scheme perfectly. Let's make it happen. So that would be spectacular. Rika the Pup, something we addressed earlier. The Greg Olsen Derek Carr package is looking awful nice. I get the Bevel connection, but bringing in the guy that helped develop young Carr and other young quarterbacks makes sense for Wilson too. 100%. This is one actually I had on my docket because, again, there was a possibility that Mike LaFleur was getting fired. So I had a couple of notes together from some tweets and other things. And one of the things I had was a Greg Olsen note because Greg Olsen, of course, is a part of that Rams staff. We talked about that a little bit earlier as well. He is the Rams senior offensive assistant. The 59-year-old has been an offensive coordinator for 6 teams and over the years has run a West Coast scheme. The Rams may be hiring a new staff with Sean McVay potentially bolting for television. ESPN had this report that Sean McVay told his staff, hey, you can go seek other jobs if you want. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's almost like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Wink. Like, hey, I'm probably out of here, so you better go find something else because if a new coach comes in, he's likely going to clean house. So Olsen is a very interesting possibility, again, especially with this Derek Carr connection. And again, there could be a hint here. If the Jets hired Olsen, all of us are going to go crazy saying, well, Carr fits his offense. We just saw that insert many years ago. So that's something potentially to watch as well and to keep in mind that whoever they hire could be a hint on what quarterback they're going to pursue. Not a guarantee, of course, especially like a guy like Derek Carr, but I imagine Derek Carr would be a lot more interested in the Jets job if Olsen was there. He's like, hell yeah, that's where I want to go. And they can come up with a trade or potential signing. Let's see. Let's keep going here. Let's go to Piddle Pie Poo. 3 games of playoff berth on the line. Dude was way over his head. Defense knew what route the wide receivers were running. Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson knew it also. Yeah, see, that's the part where I can't get over. The LaFleur defenders that are likely in these comments that we haven't even got to yet that have said, complete scapegoat, like he wasn't the problem. And I see a lot of people on Jets Twitter saying it, whether it's Jets Twitter or random NFL analysts and stuff saying, like Benjamin Solak said, I can't, what a scapegoat. He wasn't the problem. And others on Jets Twitter have said that same thing. Bullshit. What do you mean he wasn't the problem? That line right there, and that's only one line, but that's worth it to me. 3 games with playoff berth on the line and you don't show up? You don't show up. And you just tell me, well, guys were injured. So? Guys who are injured, quarterbacks are not ideal. Figure it out, man. Not one touchdown when it meant the most. It would be one thing if the team was 3-12 and these final 3 games literally meant nothing and you don't score. Again, that would still be deflating that you weren't able to find a way to score a touchdown. But when it mattered most and you knew, especially as you continued during that crappy streak, that you're like, man, my job could be on the line here. And he still didn't show up. That final Dolphins game, I'm going to be honest, It was coward coaching from Mike LaFleur. Coward coaching. This is a guy that should have dug in the bag. That's what I would have done. If I had one game and I knew that my job was kind of at stake, I'm like, we're going to the back of the playbook. We're running trick shit. We're doing all kind. I am unloading the clip. I am going wild. We're doing all kinds of crazy crap that you guys haven't seen all year long because I'm doing whatever it takes to either impress one of the other 31 teams in the league or to keep my own job. And he didn't do that. It was a lackadaisical effort. He played safe. A couple of times he had give up plays on 3rd and 14. Yeah, let's just run it. What a wuss. Like, oh my God, what a spineless guy. Like, dude, go at the very least, go out in a blaze of glory. Like, just throw everything at the wall, see what happens. What are you going to do? And he just rolled over and died in the Dolphins game. So I'm not losing any sleep over Mike LaFleur getting fired. It sucks when people get fired, their jobs change, they have to run all over the place. That sucks. I'm not celebrating a firing, but I'm not losing any sleep over it. Time for the Jets to move on and find somebody else that could get the job done. So just to keep it straight there. Let's keep going here. Balls be hurting. I'm sensing some sarcasm here, but hopefully the new OC can teach Zach how to read a defense and throw a 5-yard pass. Again, I think that Zach was really in his head. I think that was part of the problem as well, which makes it difficult. And this is another key point here. Now another playbook to be learned. That this will be the 3rd playbook for Zach Wilson. So we had the BYU playbook, the Mike LaFleur playbook, and this new playbook from another quarterback. So it's going to be very difficult. There's no question about it. And we will see what they're going to be able to do from that standpoint. But yeah, it's going to be very tough on Zach. And that's why, again, he's better served as QB2 or QB3. Again, depending on your quarterback plan. Are you going out Lamar Jackson's QB1 and then you have less money to afford on a QB2? And then Zach Wilson's probably your QB2 in that scenario, or are you able to kind of go mid? Like we had a video out today about Daniel Jones potentially to the Jets. Again, the Jets are a betting favorite to land Daniel Jones this offseason. You guys can check out that video on my YouTube channel. But like, are you on a Daniel Jones? Because he's obviously not going to cost as much as Lamar. So maybe you could go Daniel Jones, Jacoby Brissett, Zach Wilson. Again, there's a lot of combinations, a lot of ways to skin a cat. Let's go to Matthew here. Paul, what do we think of Bevel? Done well with Russ and Tua, but not so good in Jackson, Detroit. Could argue he wasn't dealt a favorable hand there, though. And Matthew, I think Bevel is kind of a really good example and kind of a microcosm of this entire coaching search. No matter who I say on this list, and again, we'll try to read off some more from Zach Rosenblatt, his athletic article. He actually had some very, very interesting names on here, but everyone has faults. Just like any quarterback the Jets get this offseason, they're going to have faults. No one's going to be perfect. No one's going to be Patrick Mahomes. You're like, yeah, literally no faults. That guy is perfect for the job. There's not going to be a coordinator that fits that realm, especially with all the circumstances happening around here. So Bevel in particular, to your point, there is, again, it's kind of like when you're dating a person, okay, you normally try to seek out their best qualities. You're like, they're a great cook. They do this, they do that. Not that they're a perfect person. They have flaws, but you hone in on the good. To your point, the Russell Wilson stuff, the Tua stuff, like that's good. But there's also some of those black mark resumes earlier in his career where he incredibly struggled. Now, again, to your point, there's almost an excuse potentially for a lot of these where you're like, well, look at some of the talent he was playing with. Look at some of the roster he was coaching. Maybe that can speak to it, or divisions or situations or what have you. Bevel is an interesting one. Again, according to the beat, he is the quote-unquote favorite right now. Potentially to land that job. Currently, he is the Dolphins quarterback coach and their passing game coordinator. He's 53 years old. He's been an offensive coordinator in the past, 4 different teams, including the Seahawks. And again, that was with the connection to Robert Saleh when he was on the staff. So he is intriguing to me. I don't know if he'd be a favorite in my mind for what I want. Like he's not a terrible option to me. He's okay. If they do that, that's my reaction. It's probably going to be okay. Until we bring on like some people from Bevel's past or something to give us even more insight, I'm kind of like an okay. He's not like, again, for me, Frank Reich is near the top of my list. He's a guy I want to chase. Cliff Kingsbury, I'm not sure if he's very that high for me. I know a lot of the fans are calling for it, but again, for me, Frank Reich is number 1 on the list. Johnny Sample, Clint Kubiak, OC for Vikings last year. Cousin had a great year, run similar offense. 100%, he could make a lot of sense. And again, he would come father-son. That's possible as well. I'm fine with just kind of, doing a completely different offense potentially in that realm. Make that happen. That'd be great. Marcus Figueroa. I'd love to hire Kurt Warner as some kind of coach. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw that on Twitter recently, but some Jet fan reached out to Kurt Warner and said, "Hey, man, do you have any advice or insight to Zach Wilson?" He does some of his own private quarterback coaching stuff on YouTube and other stuff of that nature. And he gave some advice and tips. And then a Jet fan said, "Hey, do you want to work for the Jets and help him out?" He said, "Hey, they have my number," basically. So he is open to it, and we'll see. He does some great stuff for NFL Network, and he's a really talented guy for certain. So that would make sense. Finger Lakes Jet fan, Jimmy G to Vegas. Yeah, I heard. I think it was from Will Parkinson earlier. They're either going to get Jimmy Garoppolo or Tom Brady. So we'll see whatever happens there. But I think their car is good as gone. Garrett Kopka here. I would love to sign the wide receiver from Arizona. Turn all round and this turn around and this him for Carr and Adam. No, I don't think that's a little too Madden-ish. Yeah, the player you're talking about is DeAndre Hopkins. He is going to be traded from Arizona. He already said a goodbye on Instagram. He would be a guy in the same sense that Brandon Marshall was a veteran wide receiver addition, Santonio Holmes, Braylon Edwards, those kind of guys. So we'll put a couple of notes there for, again, Braylon, Santonio, and Brandon Marshall. They've done the veteran wide receiver thing in the past. I would love Hopkins. He'd be a great oppo wide receiver one if Garrett Wilson. That could open things up. Plus, that would be attractive for both the quarterback and, I imagine, an offensive coordinator coming in. MM Morris, moving Mike LaFleur to the box, but left a hole in the sideline. I wouldn't necessarily look at it that way. It's not like, you noticed one less person on the sideline. Again, I'm comfortable with whatever the coach is comfortable with. If they like operating from the booth, great. If they like operating from the sideline, great. I don't think that makes a tremendous difference. Some quarterbacks, as we've heard in the past, prefer to go right to the sideline and talk to that coach instead of over a headset or on the phone on the sideline, just looking at him and they're walking through it together. And other guys prefer it in different ways. So I don't put much stock in it one way or the other. Rico the pup back here. Greg Olson helped Carr and Goff make the second year leap in the league. Blake Bortles had his best statistical year with him. It makes so much damn sense for both Carr and Zach Wilson to bring him in. So yeah, let's hope again if the Rams guys can look for other jobs. So we will see. Steve V. I don't think JD is going to throw a lot of resources at a new quarterback. Well, we will revisit this, I guess, in a couple of months. I would be flabbergasted if he does not. If he rolls out some underwhelming group of, again, Zach Wilson, Gardner Minshew, and like Jacoby Brissett, that would be underwhelming to a major point, especially with the names that are floating around. Again, ultimately, you got to do what you got to do, but I would be very underwhelmed by that. But maybe Steve will revisit this. And this feeds into George's point here. Jets need to go for it all. And that's why I ultimately believe, Steve, that you will be proven wrong on that statement. Like everyone knows, like it's pretty obvious. The playoff mandate is a thing, and Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh have to do that or they're fired. And again, if you have that mindset, I think you're going to be a lot more aggressive to say, shit, well, what do I have to lose? If I'm wrong, I'm fired. If I'm right, I'm here longer. So I think that will play into the aggression of, well, whoever, Lamar, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, whoever it ends up being. Piddle Pie Poo, back to you. It's not just the quarterback. Play calling, game planning, lack of adjustments had no business being hired along with rookie quarterback and rookie head coach. Now, that's a part we can agree on and kind of dive into. Again, I thought LaFleur, on his own accord, was worthy of being hired as an offensive coordinator. Now, pairing him with Rob Calabrese, who had no experience, he was a former Wagner guy, coach, and then entrusting that group of inexperience to guide the number 2 overall pick. That's where we could get into some like, okay, that seemed kind of dumb. But I think that's something to clearly push. Let's go to Wilner Olivier. Derek Carr is likely coming. Another reason is because his brother David, who played for the Giants, could sell him on playing in New York. That's for sure. I don't buy the David Carr clip that came out where he said, Derek Carr will only play for stable organization, stable head coach. Again, there's no place in the NFL that doesn't have a quarterback that isn't stable. Quarterback stability is the stability of said organization. So I don't say, I don't buy that is the case. Vinny and the Jets. He is happy Mike LaFleur is gone. Mike LaFleur is gone. God is so good. Okay. Celebration for that. Ooh, Piddle Pie Poo, Derek Carr, Neil O'Donnell 2.0. Oof. Please, I hope not. I hope that's not it. Although I'm kind of excited about Derek Carr. If he comes here, I'm pretty excited. Um, 19 New York Jets 69. I don't think Joe Douglas is on the hot seat. No playoffs next year. Saul will be gone. This is where I push back. Joe Douglas is entering his fourth offseason and fifth overall year in 2023. If he goes 5 years, half a decade without the playoffs, then what are we talking about here? What standards are we holding these guys to if that's the case? So to me, I think they're attached. Joe Douglas hired Robert Sala. So Joe Douglas is going to get Adam Gase, Robert Sala, and then another guy. I don't know. I like Joe Douglas, and I want them all to stay because I believe this is the right group. But I think they're connected, and also we want the GM and the head coach on the same platform. I think it's bad when Joe Douglas is going to be in your example. He would be 5 years from no playoffs. Now we bring in a new head coach, and then how much time do you give new head coach with Joe Douglas? And that just turns into a monster that we've had for a decade. So I am not a fan of that. Let's see. Rika the Pup. People trashing Carr. Who on the roster or who can we get that won't cripple our salary cap that is better? That's also, I think, a fair point. Again, the people who are trashing Carr, I would have questions for those people. Like, okay, then who are we getting then? Because you have to get somebody. I think that's a key to all of this. Let's go to Joseph here on our Facebook page. Paul, if we're talking Zach Wilson through, or we're talking, I think he meant taking, but either way, taking Zach Wilson through hell or high water, you need an OC that could work with a mobile quarterback. Cliff would be a great fit. I think Ian Rappaport sent it out earlier that obviously, for those who don't know, he just got an extension for the Cardinals. So he's paid. Coaches' contracts are fully guaranteed. He is paid through 2027. If he wants to live in that fancy place that he showed during the draft, where he's got this fire pit outside in the middle of some beautiful place with a supermodel wife, he can just take off for years if he wanted to because he's getting paid by the Cardinals to not coach. Again, if he just has the passion for the game, he can ride it out with the Jets. And there's been rumors. We also have a video out on that. You can check that out for the Steve Young video on our YouTube channel. But yes, someone who has history with a mobile quarterback can only help for certain. But we will see. I'm not sure anymore whether or not he would entertain that. So we will see. Dane Auerbacher here. Wow, this is a lot of message, but you'll just kind of see my eyes and my eyebrows here. Do you think Robert Sala would be able to pry Gary Kubiak at a retirement, whether it'll be our next OC or an advisory role? If it's an advisory role, who do you think he would hire for the OC? Does Frank Reich run a similar offense? I think we want to run a similar offense team, so we don't have to adapt and acclimate very much. I don't. Let's work backwards first. So in terms of running the similar offensive system, I don't think that is a prerequisite for this OC job. The offensive system didn't work. Now Sala married it and committed to it when he came here, but it hasn't worked. So I think he will be willing to adapt. So put that aside. Will Gary Kubiak be convinced out of retirement? According to Rich Cimini, no, it's unlikely. According to Zach Rosenblatt, also unlikely. But they said if it was going to happen, it would happen if you hired Gary and his son Clint as a combo deal, and they could kind of run it father-son offensive coordinator style system. So that would make a lot of sense. Because I don't think you could just pair like cats and dogs together. Like Gary Kubiak, he's our veteran guy. I got a connection to Robert Sala, and then hire some rando OC. I think that could cause some weirdness in the room, personally. TJ Decker, there's the positivity we're looking for. Regardless, Jets will probably screw it up anyway. Such a dysfunctional organization. What college did Carr play for? Fresno State, which, by the way, that's why, just a random detour, why a lot of people bring up the weather games for Derek Carr of why you don't want him. I say, well, okay, well, how many weather games has he played in his career? I don't know the number. I'm like genuinely asking because he played at Fresno State. That's in California. He played with Oakland, California, and he's playing in Vegas. Like how many opportunities does this guy have? We're talking 3, 4, 5 games, maybe. Like that's not enough for sample size either way. If he dominated cold weather games, I wouldn't be pounding the table. See, he's great in cold weather. Or if he apparently the stats are not very good when he plays in cold weather, like he sucks in cold weather. I don't think we have enough of a sample size to judge one way or the other. So I think that point is kind of moot, to be honest with you. George, Zach needs to go back to high school and learn fundamental, but his ego's too good for that. And also, like, well, no one can literally go back to high school, but I will say that from all accounts, from all the people I've talked to, I know a lot of people in BYU, and leading into the draft, you guys could go check back out those old videos. He is a hard worker. He's not lazy. So he's trying to do all the right things. Now, sometimes trying isn't good enough. You have to be able to execute it on the field. So, um, it looks like he's going to have a full plan, though, according to his last press conference with us, the media, that has a full plan this offseason on how to kind of correct some of the mistakes. So we'll see if those end up making a difference. Rika the Pup. So basically, Aaron Rodgers or Lamar instead of Carr, because you're not telling me Jimmy G is significantly better. You aren't telling me anyone in the draft is clearly better. Ain't no Lawrence. I do believe there is no, like, Bryce Young is really intriguing, but I would not trade up in the draft. I've had enough of the young guys. I want a veteran, a proven guy. So Aaron Rodgers on my list. Lamar Jackson, of course, on my list. Derek Carr is on my list. Jimmy Garoppolo is on my list, although the durability scares me. But yeah, I want a proven guy who's been there, done that. That's what I want. A guy with a track record, a guy we know what he is. There's no guessing. There's no like, man, I hope he really breaks out here. That's not at all what I'm looking for. Okay, I'll come back up. I see we just got a YouTube super chat in, which, by the way, is available for all of you guys. So you guys feel free to hit up the YouTube super chats. I know we got a few on another video from our Trevor Sikkema video. I'll try to bring those up as well to answer on the show. Our apologies for not getting to that. Trevor had a limited amount of time, so I wasn't able to get to those. So we'll get to those at some point as well, hopefully, on this video. Wow, we got like a million comments here. So I'm trying to catch up to our YouTube super chat that just came in. I love all the comments, by the way, everybody. So we'll try to get to as many of these as possible. By the way, if I do not get to your we have a couple in here. Let's go to Joe S. first. Reports said there was a rift between players and Mike LaFleur. There apparently was some reports. Again, the Elijah Moore thing, you had the Denzel Mims thing, you had the Zach Wilson thing. So there are reports out there. Now, what stock, by the way, Joe S., thank you so much for giving us a super chat. We appreciate it, brother. Thank you. You're the best. There has been reports about that, the validity of which we can't confirm or deny, and that was not part of the reporting on the other side. So that much is true, but some good stuff there for sure, Joe S. Another one, we have George Mulatto with the super sticker. George, thank you so much for the support, brother, on the show. We really appreciate it, guys. Your guys' support helps us make this show the wonderful one that it is. Yeah, we have over 3,000 subscribers. And guys, if you are watching right now, we have 200 plus people in the chat, so we really appreciate you. Keep dropping in your comments. I'm going to try to work my way through as many of these as possible on the show here, and we'll try to stay on it for as long as possible to answer as many of these as we can. Again, Mike LaFleur fired. We're reacting to it. We're giving you some offensive coordinator names to keep an eye out for. Okay. And other stuff, anything you'd like is on the board. Thanks, George. You're the best. Let's go to oh, wow. Okay. Let's see. Let's catch up. Okay, I'm going to work my way from the bottom up. Get your draft Anthony Richardson. We will dive into more draft stuff. We had Trevor Sikkema. He kicked off our YouTube channel playlist, Path to the 2023 NFL Draft. If you guys want to first look on draft, Trevor Sikkema of Pro Football Focus, one of the best in the business. We talked about offensive line and some positions the Jets could chase. Anthony Richardson, an interesting guy. I don't think he would be a Jet fit. Wilner Olivier, what do you make of Beningo wanting Rex back as coach if Saleh is somehow let go? Again, I don't think Saleh's let go based on all the information we got. I like Rex Ryan, but there's no way. Like some of these, like they're just not happening. Like, Sam Darnold coming back, like that's not happening. So as cool as it is for Rex, and I have Rex Ryan's book in my man cave over there, Play Like a Jet. I love that book. And I loved Rex's time here. That is not going to happen. Monish Meta. If the Bears do decide to move on from Fields, highly unlikely. Did the Jets pursue that? Ironic, I know. And if so, what did the Jets have to give up for that? A couple of things here. I actually have an article that just posted tonight. If you guys want to look over on the Heavy on Jets page, and it will be posted to Facebook tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. But if you guys would like a first look at that, we dove into the full thing. Mike Tannenbaum had a trade proposal between Jets Bears. That's in the article. The Bears GM Ryan Poles came out and he said that he needs to be absolutely blown away to draft a quarterback at number 1 overall, but he left the door open. Trevor Sikkema, we brought that up to him. So I'm going to collect all that together 75% of the article is done. You guys can check it out. It's already posted on our Heavy on Jets page. The only thing I have to add is our Trevor Stickerman nugget from the podcast. So, guys, you guys can feel free to check that out. We'll probably also have a video on that coming out this week. So keep an eye out for that. But actually, I'm kind of intrigued by it. Omar, send all the what is this? It just popped up. Send all the Zach love to the Jake Asman show. He will love it. Zach was not the problem. I think both were the problem, to be blunt. I know that Jake Asman hates Zach Wilson truthers, but I will say I think both were the problem. And let's keep going. Let's go. Let's go to this. Lawrence Wapples. Hey, Boy Green, what do you think about Ryan Tannehill? He's got, I think it's a non-guaranteed $27 million for next year. If a Titans person told me correctly earlier, he's one of those options I don't think is getting a lot of love for natural reasons because he's not a sexy name. But he's a guy to keep in mind as a fallback option. I think that's a good way to put it. The Titans are going to blow their thing up. They fired their general manager, John Robinson, and there's a lot going on there. So, I am intrigued. I'm intrigued. He's not one of my top names, but I do think that's possible. TJ Decker, sorry for the negativity, Paul. Just don't feel good about the staff right now. By the way, anybody who is positive, negative, or indifferent, to me, I'm a glass half full guy. I know that firing your offensive coordinator can be a negative thing, and there's a lot of negative things being said because of that Jets OC position opening. Like it's not that attractive. All these other things. DJ, I view this as a church, okay? You guys are giving your confessionals to me, and we're working all through this together. I am a Jets fan and a media member working and covering the New York Jets for Heavy on Jets and all our podcasts and shows. Guys, we can all work through this together. That's the key. Don't apologize for your feelings. We're all trying to get through it together. Let's see. Trying to get through some of your comments here, jumping around. Momo Adama. Paul, do we know if any OC is interested in coming to the Jets at this point? To be honest, it's a little too early. The firing happened officially like a few hours ago. So it is impossible to know if any offensive coordinator has just said, oh, the Jets job just opened. Pack my bags, baby. We know of Jets reaching out to other people, like we were just talking about the candidate list, and we'll throw a couple more names out there before we get out of here. But no, I personally am not aware of any OC that said, all right, sign me up for the Jets. Let's go interview and things of that nature. I do not believe we are there yet, but that is a really good question. And again, we should have more on that tomorrow. Again, I'm hoping to have Zach Rosenblatt on tomorrow night. To go through this list in detail and get some more sourced info. So, guys, fingers crossed. Mike, I liked your video about a possible Daniel Jones at quarterback. And I'll be honest, Mike, as I say in the video, just a random detour here on, again, you guys can ask any questions you want. We'll try to get to them all. Again, Daniel Jones, I'm going to be honest. When he was drafted, I rolled, I laughed. I belly laughed. And a Giants fan left the bar that I was at as we were watching it and said, this goddamn organization, this friggin' organization, excuse my French, excuse it, this crappy organization, or just walked out of the bar in the middle of the first round. Again, Daniel Jones was a 6th overall pick. He just left. He had seen enough. But actually, when you really dive into the numbers, there is a lot to like this year and this career year. Rushing numbers are great. Completion percentage is great. Turnovers getting cut down are great. There's a lot to like. So he is very interesting. Playoffs or bust next year. That's damn right, Brian. On our Facebook page, it is time to bust here. It is playoffs or bust. There's going to be a lot of teams wanting Carr. From Hawk, there's going to be a lot of teams wanting Carr. I don't see us attracting him or overpaying. Again, I think we will. Again, I tried to ask a few people that are outside of Jets world because we're in Jets world firmly, and I asked people in Jets world, like, do you guys think this is an attractive job? And I heard answers. I'm like, you know what? No matter what, the people I ask in Jets circles are biased in some way. Let me ask NFL people. Like, hey, random NFL person, random person in Denver, or random NFL person overall, do you think the Jets job is attractive? Like, and this wasn't even just about the OC thing. This was just in general to quarterbacks and things. They said, of course it is. Look at boom, 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 boom. They went Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, New York market, win there, you win anywhere. Like, they sold me all the bill of stuff that I believed. But I got that, validation from other people that said, of course, that is an attractive job, an attractive place for a potential quarterback. So different strokes, different folks. I do believe that, again, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if Carr is going to pick the Jets. If they're interested, I believe they would be. I don't know if he's going to pick them over everybody else. But what I'm saying is I believe it will be an attractive choice for Carr, and maybe they could do some more stuff to attract him even more. Like I said, DeAndre Hopkins would help. That's for sure. Like Kevin underscore Chato, like Olsen, I heard was Carr's previous OC, and that is correct. He was his previous OC. So again, if you bring him in, I imagine Carr will go, that looks successful on top of the talent. So I think that would be it as well. Hackett and Rogers again. I told you there's a lot of QB OC connections that could make sense. I've heard of Todd Monken a lot. I know Play Like a Jet is a big Todd Monken guy at Georgia, back-to-back national championships. There's a lot there good. But the Jets interviewed him for head coach, and they picked Adam Gase over him. I'm sure he doesn't remember that. So, and I'd be an offensive coordinator from college would be interesting. I know there is other success there on the resume, but that would be interesting. And I don't know if that's the answer. Let's see. George Mulatto here. Garrett is a monster. Dude would have been offensive MVP with better quarterback play. That's true. 1,100-yard receiver, first 1,000-yard receiver since 2015. Yeah, that's really why I kind of go, man, if that dude just had a quarterback. So if they get a real quarterback, whoever that is, Derek Carr, Lamar Jackson, whatever, I'm so excited for the steps in his game he's going to take when a ball is consistently in his hands from a quarterback that can do that sort of thing. So I'm really excited about that for sure. Can we rate Dable staff quarterback coach? I believe that's Mike Kafka, and he is interviewing for head coaching jobs, but that's possible. I don't know if Kafka has connections. I'll have to double check because we're just live here operating. My brain doesn't always work. But Kafka's getting head coaching interviews, so that is TBD. We will see. Yeah, more Todd Monken. Wow, there's a lot of Todd Monken in here. I respect it. I respect it. Yeah, some Jordan Love. I've heard a few people on the Jordan Love train again. That would have been a Mike LaFleur connection. Mike LaFleur actually said that, according to all his Packers conversations, which again his older brother is Matt LaFleur, that Jordan Love has looked great behind the scenes, and that could have made sense. But now that he's not there anymore, I think that almost I don't know. I don't want to quite say eliminates, but it makes it a lot more difficult. All right, let's go back to the bottom of our list here. I see we have another YouTube super chat coming in. Yes, juicy. Guys, thank you so much for the support on the show. We're here late on a Wednesday, and you guys are doing awesome. Sir Robin, thank you for your the content, Paul. You do good work. Sir Robin, and thank you, Sir Robin. I want to make sure I give a proper introduction to you. Sir Robin, thank you for coming on, man. Yeah, we try to give you guys a lot of variety in the diet here on the show with live streams, with guests, doing some behind the scenes videos like the Daniel Jones one, or kind of a take off something viral like the Steve Young thing from earlier. So guest content, live stream content. We try to give you guys some good variety in the diet. We think that's important. A balanced breakfast, a balanced diet throughout is really important. So I'm glad you guys are here late with me on a Wednesday, baby. This is great. So let's go through. So, Sir Robin, you're the best, baby. Love it. And thank you for jumping on the show, baby. This is great. Let me see. I'm going to try to skip to the top, try to see if there's anybody I missed way earlier in the show. I'm just going to jump around here and try to see. And also, like I said, you guys, first off, for everyone who's watching, you guys are awesome. Like the video, hit subscribe. Again, like the video. Come on, what are you doing? I'm looking at you. We're both making eye contact right now. You're watching this video either on the live stream or after the fact. We're looking at each other. The least you can do is hit the gosh darn like button. Even a pity like. I'll take that. I don't discriminate. All likes are the same to me. So hit that like button. Also hit subscribe. We are growing, baby. 3,000 subscribers and going. We're at like 3.2, something like that. We want to keep growing. Last off season, we were barely at 1,000 in March, and then we just skyrocketed. And I'm hoping for a similar trajectory with the massive quarterback offseason, so much that's going on. So I hope you guys can all be a part of it. Tell a friend. Do whatever you can to expand the brand. Let's go to Rika the Pup. How much do we place emphasis on calling plays for an OC? I think it's kind of nuts that the OC doesn't call plays, but then you hear guys like Bieniemy in case he doesn't call plays. So here's the thing: to me, when people say like Eric Bieniemy, apparently Frank Reich didn't call plays with the Eagles and Doug Peterson, whatever. Like because it's not always obvious if someone is or isn't. Like people make it seem like Eric Bieniemy is just a I don't know. Yeah. I just came back from Taekwondo tonight. For those who don't know, I'm testing for my fourth degree black belt in Taekwondo. That test should be coming up in February. And we have these Bob dolls, which are just kind of the big muscle dolls that you're able to punch, kick, and everything. Like to use, I guess, a Taekwondo reference, like people make it seem like the enemy's just a Bob doll. They just stands there. If he's not calling plays and he's the offensive coordinator, he's just a boob. Like, and apparently that's what people are talking about with Frank Reich, which is ridiculous, by the way. If they're offensive coordinator, that is a significant role on a team. That's not a made up nonsense position if they're not calling plays. They're coming up with the offensive game plans, they're working with the quarterbacks, they're working with the offense. Like that's still a critically important role. Now, would I prefer that an offense coordinator, especially come to the Jets, has literal play calling experience? Of course I would, because they would have done it previously, which would make sense. And again, that would be very interesting to me. But I don't think the people that didn't are just idiots. So I just think that sometimes I think we need to clarify some of that as well. Again, a lot of Daryl Bevel in here. We talked about him earlier. Let me go to I'm going to go to our most recent comments here and see if we missed anybody else here. Let me skip ahead just to make sure we didn't miss any more super chats coming in. Nope, the last one was Sir Robin. Okay, so I'm going back to the Zach Rosenblatt article. I want to just see if there's any offensive coordinator we missed that deserves to be mentioned. Again, we talked about Nathaniel Hackett earlier. Again, he was fired by the Denver Broncos, and so a lot of people may not just want him based on that. But before that, he was a very highly regarded, coordinator for the Packers. He obviously has a connection with Hackett to Matt LaFleur, which is Salah's friend, so that would make a lot of sense as well. So Nathaniel Hackett, also a Syracuse guy here locally. A sexy one I think that is very buzzy with fans is Pep Hamilton of the Houston Texans. They fired Lovie Smith, so Pep Hamilton is hanging out in the balance. He could be. He's 48 years old, although the Houston offense wasn't great. But again, is that one of the situations where you don't give credence because of everything that was going on? Or how much blame do you give him for that crappy situation? I think that is important to note. We mentioned Cliff Kingsbury. We mentioned the Kubiak combination. Here's one: Ben McAdoo. Zach Rosenblatt on him. The Panthers might end up keeping Steve Wilkes full-time, which means McAdoo wouldn't be available. But Zach Rosenblatt says McAdoo, quote, deserves a lot of credit for developing Sam Darnold into a solid quarterback and has plenty of play calling experience from Carolina and the Giants. Who wants Ben McAdoo? Remember that guy. Oh, boy. Now, Ron Middleton getting some love. He's currently the New York Jets tight end coach. He is, quote unquote, popular in the locker room, supported by those in the locker room. He's never called plays before, but a lot of people would love that. And again, his line, everyone wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. I love that line from the Senior Bowl. That was great. We mentioned Greg Olson. Frank Reich, we've mentioned, and a couple other weird ones here from Zach. I'm just going to be honest. Let's throw Brian Schottenheimer. He is currently the Dallas Cowboys coaching analyst. He's 49 years old. We all remember him well. He was the Jets coordinator, offensive coordinator from 2006 through 2011, and I remember wanting to get rid of him all the time. Old Shotty. But maybe time away and coming back in a new regime could help. And the other weird one that was on here, Matt Nagy, who was infamously the Bears head coach, but remember he won 12 games, 8-8 in his first 3 years. He did win 12 that 1 year. But he went back to the Chiefs. He's the Chiefs senior assistant and quarterbacks coach. He's a well-known offense coordinator for the Chiefs for 2 years. And according to Zach, was one of the most sought after coaching candidates when Chicago ended up landing him. So he's another one to throw in there. I didn't mention all the names, but if you guys would like to read a lot of the names, you can go check it out for The Athletic. And also, like I said, fingers crossed, we're hoping to have Zach on the show tomorrow to go into this in a bit more detail and get some more sourced information on what the hell happened with this Mike LaFleur situation as well. Let's see. Kev_Chata. Paul should have a Thursday show. There's an opening for Jets talk tonight. I will say in general, like back in the day, for those who don't know, story time. Back in the day, I did one show a week that was called The Jet Zone, which, by the way, is still a show you guys can listen to. I had Joe Caparosa on the radio, and so we have that audio only podcast, The Jet Zone, wherever you listen to your podcast. If you look for The Jet Zone, it's been a show for like a decade, both in terrestrial radio and podcast form. If you guys prefer just audio, I spoke with Joe Caparosa earlier. There's some good nuggets in there, from a variety of nuggets. But I will say, I used to only do that one show a week. But with the expansion of YouTube and digital media in general, I'm going to be honest, I do shows all the time now. We do live streams with Will Parkinson every Monday. I do, now that the season's over, a mock draft Monday segment where I bring on a draft expert and we talk Jets draft and whatever is trending in this situation. Mike LaFleur and the offensive choice may be a trending option for Monday. So we get Will Parkinson. We have that. I normally do a conversation with Zach Rosenblatt every week, whether it's on the radio for my podcast or on here. So we're hoping to have that this week. And then just random videos. So basically, we have a show every day. I know not always live, but we do have a lot of live shows throughout the week. No more post-game shows because the season's over. So we will have more opportunities throughout. Oh, wow. We're getting a lot more comments in here. So let me catch up on these. Yes. Let's see. Uniforms are the least of our problems. Again, I kind of like our uniforms, to be honest. Jets should go back to the 80s unis. I like those. That'd be nice for sure. We need a quarterback guru. I agree. Hawk. I mean, a while ago, I said I'd rather have Shoddy back than keep LaFleur, but now that we're here, I was just kidding. I'm glad that you clarified that. That's funny. Yes, also, I see someone mention Miles Austin. The Jets are now going to move forward with hiring a brand new wide receivers coach. He's been suspended for at least a year because of the gambling that he did. And apparently, Jay Spector with the joke. I heard Miles Austin was betting against the Jets scoring a touchdown last 3 games. Put that one in the bank. Zinger. But yes, the Jets will be actually hiring a brand new wide receivers coach this offseason with his future murky. And again, they could have done that anyway. Let's keep going here. We had Paul Hackett say no to Hackett. That's funny. Yeah, that's true. Hawk, LaFleur treated Zach like a gosh darn test tube baby. Zach needs a flippin' hug for Pete's sake. Yeah, he needs something. And apparently tough love is not what he wants. Which, hey, different strokes, different folks, I guess. Thomas, don't you think Saleh talks to someone who wants OC before he pulls the trigger? Don't you think Saleh talks to someone who wants OC before he pulls the trigger? I'm not sure if I understand your question, Thomas. So if you want to clarify that in the lower chats, I do believe that they will have an expansive search to try to find the right answer because there's just been too many not right answers for too gosh darn long, to be blunt. The Highlander Prime. I studied Taekwondo as well, Boy Green. Yes, random stories. I started out my mixed martial arts career in Tang Soo-Do as a child. That's the art of the fist, for those who don't know. And, a lot of moving. I was in a military family, so we kind of moved all over the East Coast. So I wasn't able to stay in Tang Soo-Do. And then when I moved up here to upstate New York in 2008, by chance, I kind of got my opportunity at Redemption because in Tang Soo-Do, I was too young and I quit. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I was doing it with my brother. And then when we came back up here in 2008, so I'm in high school, there was a Taekwondo dojang right down the street. Master Pryor's Taekwondo. I said, oh, baby, this is my chance. Got into it. And like I said, I'm testing for my 4th degree black belt. In February, I've been able to compete in tournaments around the state, which has been amazing, in sparring, which is hand-to-hand combat, in some gear, poomsays, which are organized forms. Board breaking is one of my specialties, using props and jumping off chairs and doing crazy stuff. So Taekwondo is a great release when you have a tough day or whatever, and then you're able to punch some people and kick some things. And also, of course, the tenets of Taekwondo, like perseverance, indomitable spirit, and courtesy, and all of these different tenets that you build your life around. It kind of goes beyond. It gives you a greater purpose in life. So again, for anyone, it's never too late. We have all kinds of ages. We have kids to old people to everything in between. So Taekwondo, it fills that void. I'm a former football player, played football in high school. Wanted to play in college in the NFL. They didn't call, but it filled that void, that competitive fire. I loved playing high school football. I was a former running back, again, 5'3" on a slanted hill for those counting at home. I was a former running back, also played corner, and I loved playing football. I loved the competitiveness of football. I love watching film. I love practicing. I love football. And then getting to talk about it was a dream come true. But there's still that competitive edge of like smacking someone in practice that as an adult, you don't normally just get to smack people around. So you have to find some outlet. And that outlet ended up being Taekwondo for me. And I've been doing that since 2008. So unbelievable 15 years doing taekwondo and mixed martial arts, and I have also attempted and will want to attempt one day some mixed martial arts. I'm a big MMA fan as well, but you guys will continue to get to learn more about me, because again, we're always here together, and giving each other all the love and everything, and being straight with each other. So I love to share different details. Rico the pup. Oh damn! Don't mess with Boy Green. Get that kick to the side of the head before you can blink. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can. I can kick to the head with roundhouse kicks. My specialty kick is a back spin kick. If you guys YouTube that, it is a violent kick. It's like a counter punch. When you're standing here, you kind of contort your body and you come up and you spin heel kick from behind someone, normally in the chin or head. That was my calling card in sparring. I kind of try to bait someone, put my hands up or drop them. And when someone throws a kick at me, I spin and backspin kick them in the face. So that is my go-to. That was always one of my favorites. I always scored bonus points for a headshot. So that was my kick of choice. Joe S. Paul, you should stream more often. Hey, baby, you asked for more Boy Green. I will give you more Boy Green. That is my promise. So I will try to do it even more often. This is fun. Lies, if I didn't butcher your name. Hi, Paul. Hey, how are you? Way to be here late on a Wednesday night. Oreo, how about trading Quinnen for a big name quarterback? I've heard a few people bring this up, potentially in the Baltimore Ravens conversation. Here's my thing. I'd much rather give up the picks. Quinnen is a homegrown guy, so you need to eventually, you have to pay your guys. As Quinnen noted at his presser, it's been eight first-round picks worth of guys that have not been re-signed. It's time for the Jets to pay their homegrown talent. Quinnen Williams is young. He's a superstar. You can get a big-name quarterback without giving up Quinnen. So I get people have tried to be creative with that, but for sure. So again, I don't think we need to go there. Hawk, nobody really streams on Wednesdays, Paul. You should make this your day, baby. Oh wait, it's Wednesday. I was supposed to have Buffalo on. Whoops. We're supposed to do our Buffalo stream tonight. I totally blanked on that. So we'll have to reorganize that. We normally do me and Buffalo today, so I totally blanked on that. I apologize to our good buddy Buffalo for totally forgetting that live stream tonight. So yeah, I owe Buffalo like a beer or something, because we were supposed to have him on. Maybe should have joined me here tonight. That is a crying shame. So I will probably get an angry text from Buffalo about that later. But we will try to do another one. Yeah, normally do live streams with me and Buffalo on opposite channels. 1 week my channel, 1 week his channel. But we will fix that for the future. Rika the Pup, good luck on your test. Get your stripes. 100%. Yeah, for people who don't know, once you get to black belt, some people just say, once you get to black belt, it's over, right? Well, actually, no. You actually go back through all the color tips to get back to your next degree. And then you do what we call a Dan level testing. That's going from first degree to second degree to third degree to fourth degree, and going on. So yes, this will be a Dan level test going from third degree to fourth degree. I am a third degree brown tip, which means I'm one tip away from fourth degree, and we'll get our black belt shipped from Kukiwon, which is in Korea. If you pass your test and you get both your fourth degree black belt and your Kukiwon certificate, which is I'll have to grab one of these times. You guys can see it, but it's a Kukiwon Korean certificate that tells you that you will be a represented black belt in over 200 countries. If I go to the Olympics or I bring my black belt to another country and I am Kukiwon certified, I am a recognized black belt in over 220 countries or whatever it is, which is really cool. So thank you. Yes, yes, you guys are learning more about me every day. I try to go to Taekwondo multiple days a week. I really enjoy it. It is a great release, as I said earlier. All right, let's see. Let's get some final comments and your final thoughts on Michael Ford getting fired. Um, Kevin underscore Chata. Did you talk about Steve Young talking about how Mike LaFleur tough love didn't work on Zach? That Zach Wilson needs a big brother handling thoughts. I did. There's a full video out on it, and I was eviscerated in the comments. And not a lot of people were a fan of me trashing both Steve Young and by virtue Zach Wilson and Mike LaFleur. He did not get off scot free either. But I do have a full video on that. You guys can check it out on my YouTube channel. It is Steve Young calls out Mike LaFleur or something. Yeah. So obviously we did not know that he would ultimately be fired. But yeah, I thought it looked really bad on Zach personally because to me, my perception of this, to give you guys kind of a quick version, a Spark Notes version of it, Steve Young went on the Michael Kay show and said that Zach Wilson's getting tough coaching, and that's not what works for him. Now, how would Steve Young know that Zach Wilson's getting tough coaching? You wouldn't be able to tell that on the sideline of any game because Michael Floyd's in the booth and Zach Wilson's on the sideline. So you wouldn't be able to tell there. Since Steve Young works for Monday Night Football, which is ESPN, he would get special access in any game that the Jets were on Monday Night Football. That's part of the relationship between broadcaster and game. Of course, as we know, the Jets did not play on Monday Night Football this year, so Steve Young was not granted any of that inside access. So again, we can boil it down to a singular point. The only way Steve Young would know about the tough coaching and be able to tell stories about it is if Zach Wilson told him. And we all know this as fact that Steve Young and Zach Wilson are extremely tight. Both have confirmed it. Both have revealed, both publicly and privately, that they talk to each other and communicate quite often. Zach Wilson, at his latest press conference, said they reached out to Steve Young to seek his advice, tips, and tricks when he was benched to try to get another person's perspective on it. So, long story short, there is a clear relationship between Zach Wilson and Steve Young, despite what some of our YouTube commenters have said. And long story short, Zach Wilson seemingly vented to Steve Young and told them about this tough coaching because, again, how else would Steve Young know unless Zach Wilson told him? So he told them about this tough coaching and said apparently that he hasn't been a big fan of it and it's not working. Steve Young, when asked about it on a national radio show, the Michael Kay show, said, yeah, he just parroted a lot of the things Zach Wilson said. Now, if I'm Zach Wilson, I get a different person to vent to, someone who's not on Monday Night Football and someone who doesn't do regular appearances. That would be my personal take. Now, a lot of people have ripped me apart saying I'm reaching on that take, but I think it's true that Zach Wilson, by venting to Steve Young and Steve Young then mirroring those comments on a national radio show, really comes across as Zach Wilson was whining to Steve Young about it. And also, even a more important thing, if you don't even buy that, is that Zach Wilson can't handle tough coaching and he didn't like it. That doesn't look great. Now, not everyone is a tough coaching kind of guy. I mentioned my football career earlier. I loved when a coach grabbed me by the face mask and ripped me apart. That I was born in a military family. Discipline was high. When I did something wrong, I got beat. And I'm not complaining about it. I'm just telling you guys the facts. I got beat within an inch of my life if I did something wrong. And you know what? I think I turned out just fine. But I get discipline's changing for kids and everything else in 2023. That's a different conversation, perhaps for a different show, Boy Green TED Talk. But the point is that I really enjoyed tough coaching. The people just laid it on you straight. If I fumbled the ball, what the beep were you thinking, you dumb idiot? They grab my face mask and yell at me, rip me apart, do all these things. And again, they just tell it how it is. I love tough coaching. Some people don't. Different strokes, different folks. It doesn't always have to be that way. So anywho, long story short, you can check out the video yourself, but there's some additional context a few days later, especially hearing the clapback that I got from it. Certainly wasn't expecting that, but hey, you know what? It is what it is. The people speak. They can do whatever they want about that. All right. Let's see. Sup. Does this really need an hour? Apparently, we've talked too long for Sup. I'm so sorry, Sup. Yeah, again, I try to go all my live streams. I normally try to do about an hour and try to talk about all kinds of things. But if that's too long for people, again, I guess we can try to cut it out in the future. But yes, a lot to deal there. Sup. Oh, this is great. World-class commentators talk about this for 10 minutes, but Jets vloggers spend an hour. Let's talk about this stuff because I find it kind of interesting that apparently I'm spending too much time on this, but you are commenting on a video that we're spending too much time on it. But let's talk about it, Sub, because I think it's interesting. So, world class commentators talk about something for 10 minutes. For me, my job is depending on my medium. I do sports talk radio 2 hours every day, Monday through Friday, here locally in Syracuse, New York. I can't talk for as long as I'm talking right now because we have commercials and guests and different topics to get to. But on this show, we have no restrictions. And I'm going to be honest, I love that about this medium. I could be on here for 24 hours if I wanted to. Who cares? It's my life. I can do whatever I want with my time and whatever with anything. I don't have any restrictions. I'm not forced to go to a break. I'm not forced to do anything. So we can just talk and have open conversations. I love that because sometimes on Twitter you only have this many characters. Sometimes on this you only have this long. This we can fully express our thoughts. So I contest the world commentators talk about this for 10 minutes and that's it. I think there are a lot of people like me, and that's really why I got into this field in the first place. As a Jets fan, I sought like if I was flipping to my fan mode and I didn't do any of this for a living, as soon as Mike LaFleur was fired, I'm like, okay, who's talking about it? I want information. I'm seeking information. Who can tell me coordinators? Who could tell me why he was fired? Who could tell me anything? And I would Google like articles, videos, YouTube search. Is there anyone talking about this? I need to hear more. I need to talk about more. I need a place to talk and communicate about this. So let's go do it. And that was me. And I imagine, and how I try to put content together is I try to create what I would want to listen to. And that's why we're doing this. But Sup, I appreciate that you're commenting on a video multiple times for being too long, but yet you're contributing. So I really appreciate that. Okay, that's great, though. Kevin underscore Chada, Paul likes belts. I didn't know. Yep, it's a kink. There we are. Here we are. Oh, wow. Now we're getting into martial arts battles. Let's do this. Edward Mendez. Karate is way better. Japanese hardcore style. Disagree. Karate, here's the thing for all the people that say karate or whatever you prefer. Karate, if I am to do it, because I never did karate, I believe is the art of the hand, not necessarily in the Tang Sudo way, but hand to hand combat. Taekwondo is a leg style martial art, and your legs are stronger than your arms. You can work out your arms all day, and you could look like, whatever, Sylvester Stallone. You could look like Rocky. My leg is stronger than your hand. If you hold up your arm, and this happens all the time in our Taekwondo sparring, if I throw a kick at you and you try to block with your arm, I could break your arm. I could break your arm in 12 different places. My leg is stronger than your arm no matter what you do. So to me, and I think there's so many ways. And if I had more space, I'd jump up and show you. Like for us, we have all kinds of great defensive techniques with our Taekwondo that can kind of combat anything. Like if someone's coming at me, I could do a back kick. It's almost a donkey mule kick. We could get offensive with roundhouse kicks, back spin kicks. There's so many. I have this combination sparring where I would go in for a jab and they come in and I do an inside crescent kick over the top to hit someone in the face. There's so many, and that can happen inside a phone booth. So you have inside crescent kicks, outside crescent kicks, crane kicks, front kicks, axe kick, pop-up axe kick, jump front kick, side kick, step behind side kick, heel kick, back spin kick, 360 roundhouse kick, front leg roundhouse kick, back leg roundhouse kick. I mean, we could do an entire session if we want to. So in all due respect to karate, Japanese hardcore style, the Korean traditional art of Taekwondo is chef's kiss, baby. And we could go to battle. We can lace them up right now and go in the dojang and go into the proverbial octagon and let's battle it out. I'd love to see it. But yeah, neither here nor there. Oh wow, Oreo jumping in. So let's keep going on the martial arts stuff. This is fun. What's the difference between Taekwondo, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, and Muay Thai? Yeah, so and there's others like I even did some practicing. We used to have a Friday night in the dojang after hours. So there are opening hours for like classes, right? Where kids come in, adults come in. We do all kinds of classes, but after dark on Fridays, we brought in martial artists from all across the state that did different things. Capoeira, which is like a Brazilian thing. So we had capoeira where they're kind of like fighting from the ground. They can kind of lean down and do these kind of up kicks. So we brought people who did jujitsu, judo, Tang Sudo, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu straight up, and then MMA guys. And we all just kind of like grappled around and showed each other techniques and different stuff. And yeah, it was really cool. So jujitsu, there's some like grappling. Taekwondo is like a martial art that's built around legs and leg kicks and things of that nature. There's defensive techniques, offensive techniques. Mostly it's a counter sport, but obviously there's some vicious offense that can be there for Taekwondo. So really, all of the martial arts are just kind of a different sense. They can be all kinds of different things from grappling to this. Thomas, where is upstate? Technically, I live in Oswego, New York, which is right on Lake Ontario, but I work in Syracuse, which is a bigger city that most people would be familiar with. Jim Boeheim, Syracuse basketball, all that jazz. Jim Brown, Ernie Davis, Lloyd Little, Larry Zonka, all the great Syracuse running backs. So a bigger city that people know a lot more than Oswego. But Oswego is like one of the snowiest places on the planet. So that's the one thing. Um, let's see. Let's go through some final couple things here. Uh, George, damn, with power comes great responsibility, Boy Green. Yes, that it does. That it does. Um, thank you so much. That's funny. So I should wait. Brosi used to call building a good team like we have done. We'll track coaches. Yeah, maybe, but I think you have to be aggressive in your own right. Yeah, maybe some coaches will call and say this is a perfect opportunity. That's what most people do. When there's a job, we apply for said job. So there's something to that for sure. Um, Patrick Lee Jennings just checking in. Now that we got rid of dead weight, we need to trade for Carr and secure a quarterback before the season ends. I don't know if we could do that before the season actually ends, but the if you're going in that direction, Derek Carr is probably the guy you want. Um, Gohan angered. Well, some people got what they wanted. Have fun learning a whole new offensive system. Well, I mean, the Giants and Brian Dable did it, and that worked out pretty well. So I don't think it's impossible. Let's go through the final couple comments here, then we'll wrap it up. Daniel Nolan. Pep Hamilton is a great quarterback coach. He's available. Develop Justin Herbert, Andrew Luck, Chad Pennington to be perfect for Zach. That said, besides signing Hamilton, they should also sign an OC to be the main play caller. That's where Frank Reich comes in. Well, that would be exceptional. If somehow you could get the combination of Pep Hamilton and Frank Reich together, that would be magic. Yeah, that's the bugaboo and good thing about Pep Hamilton. He has a great QB whisperer background, but he struggled as the straight up OC with Houston based on the numbers. So that can also rub some people the wrong way. So we'll see. But if you could get some superstar combo like that, I think it's going to be big to get a big name that can satisfy and quench a lot of the thirst in the fan base. The Highlander Prime. Damn, Boy Green, respect, brother. Martial arts is a great way to establish centeredness. I'm big on MMA as well. Yeah, I've been a big fan since the 90s. Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, the Iceman, Tito Ortiz. Like, oh, man. Like, now we could have an MMA podcast, baby. That would be phenomenal. That would be phenomenal for sure. Edward Mendez. Oh, more martial arts talk. Take your dough 80% feet, 20% hands. Just jam that person up and not let them use the feet and you win. Actually, for me as a shorter fighter, I had to fight in a phone booth because if I fought long distance, I kept losing or I'm at a severe disadvantage because people can use their long legs and arms and kind of keep me out of the box. I preferred to be on the inside, in the clinch because I can kind of work up the body and do jump back kicks and kind of get off on people and also getting some of the body shots because, you're allowed to do that. I can't do some of the creative hits that we do in board breaking, like a spinning back fist or over the top ridge hand and some of our forearm strikes and stuff. You're not allowed to do that in Taekwondo sparring, but I would love to use some of those techniques inside the clinch from that perspective. But no, to simply say you jam up the person and don't let them use their feet, easier said than done, my friend, because again, once you get inside the clinch, some of those jump back kick opportunities can really get you going. For me, that would be one of my ones. And also, like I said, the inside jab over the top inside crescent kick kind of gets them in it, and they can kind of do back kicks off of that, side kicks off of that to kind of keep them out from that perspective, to kind of create distance. I think that's important too. Kevin Chada, Paul into martial arts, a Celtics fan, Renaissance man. Yeah, I am the most interesting man in the world. That's it's good to go. Momo Adamo. I officiated high school football for 10 years. Got to say, it's a lot different than being a spectator. I have a tremendous amount of respect for referees and coaches and everything. You have so many different avenues that you can kind of watch by, which is great. Let's go to Shaquan Jenkins. We'll go through the last couple here, then we'll wrap up. If we do get Lamar, do you think Zach gets traded? Or if we get Jimmy to your car, we leave him on the bench to learn since they're 31 and Lamar's 26? That's a great question. I think yes. If you get Lamar, you probably trade Zach because of Lamar's age at 26, and you're giving him a brand new deal. Like, there's no path for him to come back. Probably, I would imagine. I'd lean towards trade. But again, Jimmy G or Carr, you do probably leave him because, again, there's a chance those guys could get injured or anything can happen. So yes, I have mentioned it in the past and I will stick by it. If they got Lamar, I think you trade Zach. In any other case, no. Um, Joe S. Yeah, that's the biggest myth about Mike White giving life. White didn't throw a touchdown pass in 3 games. Yeah, they put up a lot of video game numbers, like they were moving the ball but not scoring. And again, I guess if you can't score, then what are we really talking about? Rika the Pup. Ooh, I wish I could remember the UFC fighter that did that to knock someone out. That's a flashing, devastating move. One of the ones I know off the top of my head, the back spin kick, was Uriah Hall. And again, any guys that are like Wonder Boy, like people that represent Taekwondo and UFC, I automatically root for. But yes, one of the most vicious knockouts of all time came on Ultimate Fighter, Uriah Hall with the back spin kick. It is a devastating move. It is incredibly violent. And people in Taekwondo, even they know what a back spin kick is, so they know. But like in UFC, like not everyone knows the Taekwondo style. So getting lit up, and again, that's a knockout kick. Look at it at the Olympics. Look at back spin kicks. People go out like a lamp with that. So that was my go-to move personally. But yeah, it's vicious. It's scary, man. Um, yes, absolutely. Hawk, 5'3", from with a low center of gravity, probably have a nasty turning sidekick to the body, a la Joe Rogan. Yes, people forget Joe Rogan, another Taekwondo guy. Yeah, like I said, I on the lankier fighters, they tried to keep me out. They had long legs or long arms or what have you, so they kind of have these tree-like limbs. So as cool, I have a lot of kicks on my resume where I can cover a lot of ground. Like my step behind side kick, I could cover a lot of ground and do a lot of things. And I have some crazy kicks in the arsenal, like the 360 roundhouse kick. I could get a lot of height on it and stuff, but I could really only use that with fellow shorter fighters. Not everyone is 5'3", unfortunately. So when I'm fighting taller guys, I really have to work the clinch and like kind of work the body. And that's where you kind of have the leaning. It's always like boxing when you're kind of leaning on one another to kind of gain a competitive advantage. I have to do a lot of that in the short versus tall fighters because I'm at a disadvantage physically and they can kind of box me out with some of that for sure. All right, let's go through the last couple here. Pay the Quinn, 100%. I believe ultimately. So, real quick on this, Ritsamini said that he expects Quinn Williams to ask for more than $21 million per year on a multi-year deal. That would make him the second highest paid defensive tackle in football. There's a tremendous gap between number one and number two. Number one is Aaron Donald with $31.6 million per year. Number two is a tie between DeForest Buckner and Leonard Williams at $21 million per year. There's just a massive gap. It's very unusual to have that kind of pay gap between number one and number two at a position. I believe Quinnen will fit squarely in the middle. I think he's going to get in between 24 and 26 million per year. Multi-year deal will be the longest deal. Will be the richest deal in Jets franchise history. I think they pay him. I think they pay him before April. So there is no. So there is no holdout or anything happening from that. Yeah, Gohan angered. Yeah, Buffalo is probably like, what the hell? Yeah, I bet he is. Because again, he was on my list because I was going to bring a guest on the show tonight to talk about Mike LaFleur. I was going to bring on Will Parkinson. He had some stuff going on, and I was on his show earlier. I was going to bring on Zach Rosenblatt, but under short notice, he's working on some stuff. So hoping to bring him on tomorrow. And I thought of Buffalo, but I'm like, he's probably busy. Like, I totally lost the fact that it's a Wednesday. So totally sorry to Buffalo that happened. That is brutal. Kevin Scorchata. I once saw a YouTube clip of Bruce Lee shove a grown martial artist 10 to 15 feet with his fingers. That is a technique I will tell you guys because we're all on this Taekwondo kick. I will say one of the ones that I saw in movies I wanted to try at a tournament. Again, I love sparring. I love fighting. But my other passion is board breaking. And yeah, the 1-inch punch where you hold out your hand and all you can do, and I'll show it this way. All you can do on the 1-inch punch when a board is here is to do this to break it. So it's not like I'm like running at something and going, ha. You have to do this on a 1-inch punch. You have to put your hand up against the board. And then as quickly as you can, you're curling it. I'm showing you in slow motion, but you're curling up the hand and then breaking. So it's supposed to just go like that, and you're just not jumping the hand. You're just boom. And I was able to do that against a guy that came in from Chicago, and I won first place in that Taekwondo board break. But yes, the 1-inch punch of just like blast someone. I also saw that on Bruce Lee, and I love Bruce Lee. So really cool. JW, you should get Green Bean and Jets Chaos live stream during the games next year. Jay, I'm going to be honest, and this can be a conversation for now and future videos. I'd love to hear from you guys, to hear your guys' takes. For instance, the 2022 NFL draft, I went live for the first time ever, like live stream, but all you were seeing is me. You could kind of hear the draft in the background, but all you were seeing is my facial reactions and just kind of talking to you. I didn't have commercials or guests or anything. It was just us talking. And I lasted the first, like, I don't know, 10 picks or something. And I just kind of said, you know what, guys, I just got to call it off. And that's too bad because of the Jermaine Johnson trade up. That would have been a lot of fun. I just didn't think it was very fun for our viewers just to watch me and not get to watch the draft. But maybe it's something we'll try again in the future. It just didn't seem like it had a lot of success. And then in terms of the games, I'm going to be honest. How I try to do as a YouTuber to you guys, what I try to do is I try to, what's the best way to put this? I'm a Jet fan, so I try to do what people would want. In terms of like live streams during games, to me as a fellow Jet fan, I'd much rather watch the game than watch some person react to the game. If you get my drift, like they're not, as far as I know, and I've seen a couple of their live streams, they don't have the game on. So they either have the little ESPN stat thing or whatever. I haven't seen them all because, again, me personally, I have my phone on Do Not Disturb during the game and I'm watching the game. And then on breaks, I just go to Twitter and tweet out my thoughts and stuff. So that's kind of how I operate. But again, if you guys really like that stuff, that's something I'd be open to in the future. But me personally, I'd much rather watch the game instead of watching somebody else. Buffalo is pissed. He 100% is pissed. There's no way. Rika the Pup, all by myself. Like, oh yeah, he is totally pissed. There's no way. For sure. Buffalo is fuming. 2 beers in. 50 push-ups for Buffalo. Oh, he has got to be steamed. Oh man, yeah, we definitely got to let him know that I totally forgot about that. Gohan angered. Yeah, technically Taekwondo it goes up to 9 degrees. Now the ninth degree is kind of ceremonial. That's normally for people like when they die, they get ninth degree. For us, fifth degree is considered a master in Taekwondo in Kukiwan. A fourth degree is considered master in all the other forms of Taekwondo. There's ITF and other versions of Taekwondo. Fourth degree in some countries will be considered a master, but for us, Kukiwan, fifth degree is master, and then you could be a grand master on top of that as you progress forward. So, but there's a variety of degrees. The highest it goes is 9, but 9 is normally ceremonial. It's after you pass. If you're an eighth degree and you've really just dedicated your life to the sport and to the art, really, you can get a ninth degree after that. And Lisa, okay, beautiful. Okay, I would have never guessed that, but subscribing now. Thank you so much, Lisa. Great to have you. That is amazing. So thank you. A way to be a part of the family, baby. This is great. What's Grandmaster in Taekwondo? That's a great question. I should know that off the top of my head, but we have. I will say that in our art, we have 2 Grandmasters now in Taekwondo. And that is Grandmaster Kim, and then Grandmaster Kim's father, Senior Grandmaster Kim, are both Grandmasters in ours in New York. And it doesn't. I'm not seeing anything in terms of like because technically for us a master is a master is fifth. And from what I'm seeing, a grandmaster is 7th through 9th. I know you have a grandmaster's test. And again, how it works is it takes 3 years to get your black belt. At second degree, it takes 5 years. So like if you start going through, it's 3, then 5, then every degree is adding like a year to that. So 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and they just kind of add it all up from there. So it's like 6, 7, 8, 9, like all those end up being grandmasters once you take the grandmaster test, and that happens in Korea, believe it or not, which is kind of cool. All right, let's go through. After black belt is enlightenment. I love that. How long did it take you to get your black belt? Yeah, so to get just a black belt, first degree black belt is 3 years. And then, like I said, so it's 3 years for all your training and everything. And then once you get to second degree, it is 2 more years, third degree, 3 more years, fourth degree, 4 more years, and vice versa. It goes all the way around. And it just gets a lot more difficult than that for all the training. I thought we were talking Jets. Yeah, we're working it all in here. It's all over the place. Let's go to this. This is a really good question. Or do they teach more as you go up? Is there something they teach you at fourth degree that they don't at third? There are different poomsays and things that are like a sipjin is a fifth degree level black belt poomsay. So there are different sipjins and Tyvek and choreo and again we could go through all of them. There's different poomsays for each one, which are choreographed list of forms and things. So yes, they teach you different forms, and there's different levels of rankings and things. So yes, and different kinds of grabs and stuff. What we call is husinsus is ways people grab you, so you can be prepared for any scenario. Single wrist, double wrist, 2-on-1, all kinds of things to kind of break out of it. We'll have to have a taekwondo podcast. That'll be great in the future. So we have husinsus and then one steps. Like if someone's coming at you with like a wild punch or something, how do you block it and go through all that? Uh, let's see. Paul's hands are registered as a lethal weapon. That is true. Um, Hawk, I'm probably a bigger MMA fan than I am a Jets fan. That's crazy. My biggest fandom is Jets, and then everything else comes second. Cool to hear about your Taekwondo training, Paul. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you guys found that interesting. Let's go, Jay Spector. Hey, Boy Green, did you get your belt from Mr. Miyagi? That would have been cool. I know he is. I know he is dead now, unfortunately. But yeah, that would have been cool. But no, I got mine from Master Kim at the time, now Grandmaster Kim, here in Taekwondo, and he does amazing things. He does stuff with the Olympics and everything else. He's fantastic. All right, let me see. YouTube super chat. Let's get back to Jets football. So sorry for the Taekwondo exit, everybody. I think we can all agree Mike LaFleur had a great year. My only criticism would be to let Zach Wilson cook. Wow. I will assume that this is sarcasm, but no, Mike LaFleur definitely did not have a great year. And again, whether you want to blame that on injuries, playing four different quarterbacks throughout the year, and I will say that I was wrong, and people are bringing up some old tweets of mine that I believed in Zach Wilson. That's true. I thought Zach Wilson was going to break out this year. I thought he was going to be special. I was really excited by a lot of the stuff I saw from Mike LaFleur, but it just didn't happen. Daniel, by the way, thank you so much for the super chat and supporting the show. But yeah, I mean, he did not have a great year, and neither did Zach Wilson for that matter. And I will continue to eat the L's for all of that. I was wrong. There's no other way. There's no two ways about it. For sure. Steve Larson, what OC wants to come here with the quarterback carousel? I guess we're all going to find out together. Again, I think there are pros and cons to both. There's a lot of negatives, and they have to. The Jets. Here's the thing, because one of the biggest concerns for any coach that may think about coming here is simply this. They're like, well, you guys, if things don't work out, you're going to get fired. And what the Jets have to do, their pitch to these coaches have to be, well, we're so confident with Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, all these young guys in our top defense that you coming in here, of course, we're going to make the playoffs. We're thinking long term, baby. We're going to be here for years. We're not just trying to survive for this year. We're thinking long term, and that's got to be the pitch, and also the quarterback pitch. Who do they plan on bringing in? That's a big part of the conversation. So they have to feel like that as well. George Malaya. Hey, here's another one that I got a lot of crap for. Actually, George is I may sound like Dable or look like him with the beard, but I was not a fan of Dable. Someone brought back up I did a video when Gase was fired. My top 5 coaches I wanted. Saleh was on that list. I really love Saleh on that cycle, and I got a lot of crap for saying Dable was not my top 5, and look what he's been able to do. So hey, I mean, I gotta eat the L's there. No question about it. I blew that up. Omar, what is a world class commentator? I also don't know what that meant. I assumed he meant like ESPN or something, but I don't even know if that's what it means. But the different strokes, different folks. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what that meant, but he said it so confidently. I think confidence is key in life. And sometimes you just say something confidently, like you can pass it off. Like when I just say, like, the sky's orange, and I just say it like real, like looking at you, like, yeah, I guess so. He sounds pretty convincing to me, and you don't even think twice about it. I think confidence is key in life. Keep it going. I need my jet fix, baby. Okay, there you go. I'm glad some people are liking the content. Joe S. An hour is perfect, Paul. I appreciate that, Joe S. Maybe an hour is all I would have needed, but that is, I normally do try to do that. Kevin _Chata, let your hair down, Paul. Preach. Yeah, I don't have any hair to let down. That's actually a lie. Here's the lettuce. You guys are going to tell me to put this hat back on immediately, but Yeah. Yeah, this is it. Got a lot of lettuce going on here. A lot of lettuce. A lot of lettuce up there. A lot of hair. I've normally been again, military family. Normally a buzz cut flat top guy, but I've been getting lazy. I've been getting very lazy. Um, Lisa, those who don't like this format, go watch something else. I mean, that's what I was going to say too, as well. Like again, if you don't like it, you could just leave, I guess. But I do try to do more long form stuff. So yeah, either love it or you don't. I do find myself. It's kind of weird to say that to yourself as polarizing, but you know, I get who I am. Some people love me, some people hate me. That's true. I don't know many people that just say, Paul, I like. He's just a solid guy. They either hate me or love me. People have complained about my voice and jumping into like I'm an excited guy. I'm an excitable guy. I like yapping all over the place. Again, if anyone thinks it's fake, ask my fiance. She'll tell you. She says I'm just as annoying as I am on here. So that is all true. Um, so that's all factual. But again, people are either going to love me or hate me, and I just kind of accept that at the clown at the surface. Dana with the super chat. Sup, go to bed, clown. I love you spending $2 to say that. Thank you. Thank you for the shout out. I love the defense, guys. This is awesome. Momo, Paul, you're doing fine. You're appreciated. That means a lot. Joe, you don't need to explain yourself, Paul. This guy's a troll. Seems that way. Vern, Paul the man. Okay, baby. Yeah. Way to get my confidence up, guys. You guys are great. Oh, Sup with Jake Ashman. Burner account. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That is hilarious. That is funny. Good content tonight. Appreciate that, Kev. That was awesome. This was an awesome show. Thank you, guys. I'm going to go through the final comments here and make sure I don't miss anything else. Thank you. Taekwondo has much more power. Karate is more hand technique, but it's more of a point fighting style. Yeah, we only do that for our Olympic style. And for sparring, we have electronic scoring now for most of our martial arts. So it is point based. Like you get like an electronic board behind you, which is kind of fun. Blue versus orange, so you get a little bit of that, or blue red, which is kind of fun as well. But yeah, that is for Olympic style is more that as well. Okay, let's go through a couple of these. George, I support Boy Green hourly gatherings. Yes. Yes. Vern, Paul Beverly Hills Ninja like a boss. By the way, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Chris Farley and Beverly Hills Ninja. I love that movie. That is phenomenal. I love Chris Farley. God rest his soul. Tommy Boy is my favorite movie of all time. Great friggin' movie. Did I catch a niner in there? It's the most quotable movie of all time. Hold me. Yeah, it's great. Did someone open a window? I just felt the draft. That's great. Tommy want windy. I digress. Nets Talk 247. What do you think the chances are of the Jets making a legit go at Lamar? How much would you imagine it takes? Let's go through this. This is really interesting. If there's a massive if on Will Parkinson's podcast earlier today, I said there's a 1% chance. Now, I want to make that clear because it just seems so crazy. Lamar Jackson is a former league MVP. Who in their right mind, who in the hell would trade Lamar Jackson? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Any gosh darn sense. Why the heck would you do that? So I want to make that perfectly clear. That makes absolutely no sense. Why would you do that? But if Lamar goes, I want a fully guaranteed deal. The Ravens are like, kick rocks, we're not giving you a fully guaranteed deal. We're going to slap the franchise tag. It's like you can slap that franchise tag on my ass because I ain't playing under the franchise tag. The Ravens go, whoa, man, this guy's serious. I guess we got to trade him. And at that point, if they go to trade him and they start listening to offers, like, all right, let's see what happens. At that point, I would give the Jets a very strong chance for a lot of reasons. Now, they don't have the additional draft capital they've had over the last 2 years. They don't have multiple firsts, multiple seconds. Actually, let's throw this up on the board. I haven't done this tonight. Let me throw this up on the board. This is the Jets draft picks. I needed it actually for a piece because there was a trade piece and for the Justin Fields thing that I was talking about. Again, more on that on a future video. But I'm going to throw this up on the board. The Jets draft picks. Here is their full draft order, guys. I'll throw this up on the screen for you. So the Jets have a first round pick, a second round pick, a third round pick, a fourth round pick, a fifth round pick, and a sixth round pick. They do not have a seventh round pick. Here are the deets. First round, they have the number 13th overall pick. Second round, number 44th overall. Third round, number 75 overall. Fourth round, number 112 overall. Fifth round, number 144 overall. And sixth round, they have the number 178 overall. They got this pick from trading Blake Cashman to the Houston Texans, who, by the way, remain fully healthy this year. Huge shout out to Blake Cashman, who's been unable to stay healthy his entire career. Happy for him in Houston. Now, the Jets, they traded 2 picks. Their sixth rounder, which is number 184 overall, they traded to James Robinson in the Jaguars trade. Their seventh round pick, number 232 overall, they traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Steve McClendon trade. Yes, so many years later, that was kind of a weird deal, but Steve McClendon got it as well. So, in terms of the draft picks, to go back to answer this question, my fine feathered friend. Oh, sorry, you guys probably didn't see some of that. Is to show you all the picks here. It's also on my Twitter again, @BoyGreen25. Shameless plug. Feel free to follow the channel as well. And we'll take that off the screen there for you. So what do you think the chances are? So again, they don't have the normal treasure chest that they've had in the past. However, when you look at the picks, it probably take, I think Deshaun Watson deal is a similar style deal, age, superstar quarterback, all that stuff. Probably your first and your second this year, your first and your second next year, and then maybe like an Elijah Moore, and I like Elijah Moore, and I think he's going to be really good with a quarterback, so I'd prefer to keep him. So first, second, and then maybe some other player or something, like a youngish player, like a Bryce Huff. I don't know, something of that nature. So their chances are great if the Ravens listen, because the Jets, Woody Johnson is angry as hell. He loves making splashes. Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh under a playoff mandate. That helps. So want, desire all there, and again, the aggression to go do it. The Jets will believe that with Lamar Jackson, they can make a Super Bowl run. That's what Connor Hughes said earlier today. So, like, whoa, mamacita. So I would say it takes a lot. Multiple first, multiple second, and maybe a player. And their chances are really good if the Ravens actually listen to offers. Let's keep going here. Rico the Pup. He's not wrong at all. Taekwondo kicks are insanely powerful. Go look at that video of Rogan kicking the sandbag. Sounds like someone has taken a bat to a dead horse. What a brilliant, very vivid thing. Yeah, if in our like dojang, when I'm kicking a thing and I'm ripping a roundhouse kick, I mean, it sounds like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you just have to YouTube it and listen. I mean, a freaking roundhouse kick, man. Freaking boom, boom, boom. Like yeah, a bat to a dead horse. I've never heard that analogy before, but yes, absolutely. That's a good example. That's good. That's a good call for that. Bengus Garcia. Evening, Boy Green. Can we get Cliff Kingsbury? Let's go Jets. We can, but again, I don't. I wrote a piece about it because of what Steve Young said, and a few others. Jake Asman advocated for it as well. It's possible, but he probably takes off. He's paid by the Cardinals for the next 5 years, so I imagine he takes a year off, and that's what Ian Rapport reported. The Highlander Prime, a hard roundhouse kick to the head, took out Kamaru Usman. Yeah, there's another one. I'm trying to think of somebody else. Lyoto Machida. No, who was the one who got taken out by the front kick? I think that was John Jones to Lyoto Machida. I know he got him in the Kimura. No, not the Kimura. He had him in the guillotine up against the cage. That was a great, like, it was John Jones, Lyoto Machida, had him in the guillotine, and then the ref went, "It's over," and he backed down, and Lyoto Machida's lifeless body just collapsed to the canvas. There's been some nasty ones for sure. There's been roundhouse kicks over top. I've seen Wonder Boy do a couple. The backspin kick I've seen. I haven't seen anyone do the 360 roundhouse kick, either front leg or back leg, because it takes so much to do. So a guy would just kind of try to bum rush you if you attempted to do it. But yeah, there have been some nasty ones. Kevin underscore Chaddock, and everyone beat John Jones. Now, I am biased. The Jones family is from right around in Endicott, New York, in my backyard. Arthur Jones, his brother, won a Super Bowl at the Baltimore Ravens and also played with the Indianapolis Colts. His other brother, Chandler Jones, we all know, Syracuse product here, also locally, went to New England Patriots, Arizona Cardinals, now with the Las Vegas Raiders. And then John Jones, to me, the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. Obviously, he's gotten into a lot of trouble. The cocaine stuff and all kinds of other stuff that he's gotten to that has really paused his career. And it's, again, he needs to figure out his own life. That's all more important. But in terms of the actual octagon stuff, we've been robbed of like one of the greatest mixed martial artists. We should have been seeing him for a lot more future pay-per-views. Hawk, Taekwondo and karate are fine until you take a leg kick from a Muay Thai guy. If you watch some of those UFC fights where you get a Muay Thai guy and he's just ripping your leg and you see the damage that happens, all of a sudden you can't lean on that leg, you can't drive that leg when you're trying to attack. That is no joke, 100%. Joe here. Not embarrassed to say this, but one time I decided not to wear a cup, and someone kicked me flush in the balls. That was the end of it for me. I'll tell you this: something most of you may not know um, is you would think here's like a like a myth buster, right? So in Taekwondo, we have all kinds of ranks. Obviously, when people just start, they're white belts, and then we have black belts and green belts, blue belts, purple belts, brown belts, red belts, everything, right? And you would think when I'm in a sparring match, right now, like in an actual sparring match or a tournament, I'm trying to knock the other guy's head off, obviously. But when we're practicing the dojang, I completely rev my engine to like 5 miles an hour. Whether I'm again, sometimes it can get a little bit more competitive with fellow adult black belts, and we're kind of going at it, testing each other like two bulls locking horns. But like to be honest, the most dangerous people to fight against in your own dojang is actually lower level belts, white belts, yellow belts, blue belts, purple belts, all those kind of belts. And you may say, what are you talking about? Aren't the fellow black belts the one you got to fear? No, because black belts have control. I'm not, if we're in the dojang and we're essentially teammates, I'm not trying to backspin kick your face off. We're friends. We're trying to make each other better. I may get a gotcha kick, like I tap you on the head, said, I would have smacked the crap out of you if you weren't my friend in the dojang. I just want it's a little love tap just to tell you I'm right there. But like lower belts don't have the same level of control. So they'll throw a leg kick up there and I'll assume they're just going to give me a love tap or something. And then they're just going to rip me in the face. So they don't have that level of control early on. So that's a myth buster. Those are the people that are way more dangerous to fight against. Let's talk a jiu-jitsu fighter is scary as hell, 100%, especially with all the joint manipulation and like a Kimura real quick getting on you, or an arm bar real quick, or you think you're in a dominant position, either in half guard or you're like standing in almost full mount position or just straight up mount position, and they can quickly get a quick submission on you. Oh yeah, jiu-jitsu guys are scary as hell and violent as hell. Let's see. Hawk. Muay Thai is based around elbows and knees as well as kicks and punches. Ultra vicious, especially see the ground and pound as well. That could get kind of crazy. Jay Spector. Didn't know Boy Groom was a badass outside of the podcast. Well, thank you. How many TV screens have you broken watching the Jets? I'll be honest. I bottle everything up, which is unhealthy to do, by the way. You guys should get a therapist or whatever to really announce that. But no, I've not smashed any TVs, controllers, or anything. I'm just too cheap of a bastard because if I broke it, I would then have to replace it. So I just kind of bottle it up. And then in Taekwondo, when I'm fighting someone randomly in sparring, I'm just like, the Jets. And he's like, what did you just say? I'm like, oh, nothing. So like I just release it in little ways like that, which is probably not healthy. Kevin_chat. We have like gone way off course, which is great. Could Bruce Lee beat Mike Tyson? IMO. In my opinion, Lee would take out Tyson's knee, nullifying his punches. Again, what kind of fight are we talking about? Are we talking about a street fight? Are we talking about a boxing fight? Because obviously, if it was boxing, you wouldn't have that opportunity. MMA, like I don't know. To me, I think Mike Tyson, and again, especially like now, obviously Bruce Lee is dead, but like Mike Tyson, like can he gas him? How many rounds is the fight? There's so much to be, there. To me, I lean towards a martial artist over boxers, but Mike Tyson is the baddest man on the planet. Rico the Pup. A jiu-jitsu fighter is intimidating in a one-on-one. In a street fight, you're asking to get soccer kicked to the head from your opponent's friend. 100%, which is what we were just talking about. Vern. Boy Green can take Francis Ngannou. No, thank you. Francis Ngannou is a freaking freak. Man, he is, wow. He gets after you. Joe, once you get into a clutch or clinch with the jiu-jitsu guy, it's over. Yeah, there's a lot of scary positions like, like when you think again, if you're in kind of half guard, you kind of lift up and they could get a quick triangle on you, and then all of a sudden you're like, ugh, and then you're just dead. And also the sidearm choke where you get the arm and the neck, and all you have to do is pin it. Oh, that's hella nasty, hella nasty. I fish up in Plascon all the time. Again, small world. There's another Jets content creator. I think they're on the TOJ pod. They live in like Beeville or something, like right up the road. I'm like, wow, small world. And we have never met each other, but we both like coexist doing this digital world, which is kind of funny. It's just kind of funny, which is kind of crazy. Steven Seagal, there you go. That's old school. That's old school. I love that. That is 100%. That is cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I Steven Seagal. That's my childhood right there. Let's see. Hawk Rico do like a Jorge Masvidal once famously said, "Get a good sucker punch and a good 50-yard dash." Again, what he did to Ben Askren, I'm never gonna forget. I'm never gonna forget that knee to the face. 100%. Steven Rosiak at Tressman. Wow, I haven't heard that name in a while. I'll have to do some more research into Tressman, see what he's been up to. I have not heard Tressman in a long ass time. I got to dig more into that to give you a good answer. Did the Jets announce LaFleur is going? I will tell you that. So it came out from like Ian Rappaport's of the world. Let me see if it's official. Let me go to the Jets Twitter. I'll be honest. The news broke. It did not look like the Jets have officially announced it. No, I did not see it on their social media channel. So no, that is still up. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But you think that sort of thing they would have been proactive on. But no, it does not look like they announced it. So that was a Ian Rappaport thing, and then everyone aggregated it. Will there be a press with him leaving? There will not be. No, there will not be a press like up. He's gone. No, they won't do that. They will not. When they hire his replacement, there could be that, like Joe Douglas or Saleh is made available. And they're like, hey, we have replaced him with whoever. Also, there will be opportunities. There's obviously the NFL Combine where Saleh and Douglas will both be available. Not Senior Bowl this year because the Jets won't be on that staff, but there are going to be opportunities just like that for sure. Edward Mendez. Paul, my nickname is Fast Eddie. I've been doing martial arts for 35 years. I'm inducted in the New Jersey Black Belt Hall of Fame. Competition karate all my life, sparring and championship trophies. Holy crap. Wow. Edward, major props, baby. I'd clap louder, but it's 11:30 at night. My baby's probably sleeping, but wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. That is quite a run, man. I have not been doing it for anywhere near as long as you. I haven't been on the planet for 35 years, let alone, but that is a tremendous honor, man. And I hope you still hold all of that dear to your heart. That is amazing. Let's see. That's freaking cool. California Kid. There you go. Yeah, I met Uriah Faber when my 21st birthday. I was in Baltimore. I saw that UFC show that was headlined by John Jones, Glover Teixeira. I got to meet. Okay, let me see. Let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can do this for you people. This is crazy. All right, let me see. Let me see if I can do this. I normally don't show my Facebook on here, but we're late and we're getting crazy. So let's see. Uriah Faber. Yeah, if you guys are about to get it here. Let's see. Photos. Let's see. Posted by me. Let's see if it comes up. Oh no. Let me see. I think my dad maybe. It should be there though. Posted by. I'm gonna try to find my father here. Paul Esden. Let me see, senior. Let me see if I can find this. No, it's not coming up. Oh, that's terrible. For some reason, that I do have that somewhere though. You guys, I guess, will just have to take my word for it. Let me try to find it on Google real quick. Yeah, I did meet Uriah Faber at a UFC event outside. Paul Esden. Let me see if I can find this picture. That'd be so cool. It's not coming up anywhere. That would have been so cool to show you guys. That's such a bummer. I felt so good. I'm like, oh, well, I'm definitely going to be able to find this, but no, I will try to find it while we're all just talking here. We'll see if I can see my photos and see if I can find them real quick. But I'm pretty sure I have that as my profile picture at some point, which was really cool. I have to say, Uriah Faber was a really nice guy. A really nice guy. He was so cool. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I don't change my profile picture very often, so I imagine it would be here. Here it is. Booyah. Oh yeah, baby. Here we go. I am a man of my word. Let's throw this up. This is from my Facebook page. So here we we go. Here we go. Here's me and Uriah Faber. There we go. I just had my first drink of alcohol before meeting Uriah Faber. You may be able to see that in my eyes a little bit, but here we are. That is me and Uriah Faber in Baltimore. That is UFC Baltimore. Me and Uriah Faber. What a nice guy. I am a little tipsy. There's no question about it. I'm wearing my John Jones Nike shirt. It's a great shirt. I wish I was somewhere. And there's freaking Uriah Faber. UFC 199, as we see, June 4th, 2016, 7 years ago. God, I'm old, but there you go. There's me, Uriah Faber. Look at that old haircut I used to have. Yes. Also, the lighter beard. You see how more full it is. Did not rock that back when I was younger. That's when I just turned 21. My birthday. Boom. Uriah Faber. There you go. Look at the crazy crap we're talking about here. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to find it on such short notice, but here we are. Awesome. Okay, let's go through the last couple of these, and then we'll sign off. This has been a lot of fun. Rika the Pup. Boy Green, would you be willing to do a UFC recap after fights? Kind of seemed like you got an audience. I know me and Hawk would be down at least. Yeah, we will dig into this. Apparently, there may be a side hustle here. I know other people do it. I know like Matt O'Leary does like Islanders and Mets coverage and other things like that. For sure. Momo Adama. Boy Green, do you have any videos of your fights live to see them? I know I have them on my Facebook, but they're like buried. I may have some on my Instagram. We will see. And maybe there's some on YouTube. You'll have to look that one up. I know for sure on Facebook and a couple other places, but they are buried. And I don't think there's tags to like find them like that. But I will try to see. I've got a couple. We'll see what the video quality is. Let's go through a couple more of these and we'll wrap up. How did Tony Ferguson get front snap kick? Yeah, and his face got all messed up. They had the slow motion thing. Oh man, I love Tony Ferguson. El Kukui, baby. I love Tony Ferguson, for sure. Let's see. Have you seen Tressman? Venue. Daniel jumping back in with the YouTube super chat. Thank you so much. Considering Steven Seagal is 215-0 in Aikido matches, who would win between him and a starving polar bear? Give me Steven Seagal for 500, Alex. I didn't know that was his record. I know Chuck Norris is another one that's done well as well. Let's see. We have Ricky at work. Paul, been doing that for 19 years. Holy crap, man. I didn't realize how many martial artists we had in here. That's awesome. Edward, doing MMA Green podcast. I guess so. I didn't know we had this kind of audience. It's funny, the stuff we see. Randomly, Will Parks rubs me the wrong way. Like the safety? He's fine with me. I don't know. He had a really good season this year. I like Will Parks. He actually followed me on Twitter. That was pretty cool. So I tweeted out like a mini video, a little mini video of like a hype video on a game day. He followed me, DM'd me. I was like, oh, cool. Will Parks. Love that guy. So love the jet safety. Will Parks, really cool guy. Vern, I thought you were going to say your other passion is board games, not board breaking. Actually, my other passion is board games. I'm looking like at a pile of board games. I don't get to play them as often because we do the YouTube shows, radio show, and everything. I like have no time during the day, and I have a 11-month-old little girl here at home. But yes, I'm staring at board games galore. I'm a big categories guy. I know that's not technically a board game. I got Jumanji over here, Clue. Okay, we're just getting crazy here late. But yeah, I do like board games too. I'm a big board games guy. Hawk here on the 1-inch punch. The idea is to generate the power using your entire body from your foot all the way to your fist. Stance matters a lot to get full torque of that kind of punch. 100%. And again, that you're not cheating. You're not trying to like lift your hand up. But yeah, it is a lot of focus. Omar, I'm glad that you said this because I felt the same way. Live streams during games is not fun. I imagine it's not. A lot of people do it. Green Bean does it. Jets Media does it. To me, I don't think that's fun. I would, as a fan, I want to watch the gosh darn game. After you want to do a pregame video, I used to do those. I don't really love those anymore. Like again, I'm not going to do it better than Fox Sports, whatever channel. So enjoy, and they're more up-to-date information. Enjoy their pregames. I have pregames earlier in the week where we talk to the opponent, but my post-game stuff is fun. Like there's a sense of finality. We could react and have that stuff. I'm not a fan the other way, to be honest. Omar, that's fine. Yeah, we want to organize like a watch party. We're all there like a bar, watch it together. That's one thing. But the camera one-on-one on me, I don't as well. Just I don't want to be bothered. I'm just watching the game. Let's see. I prefer to watch the games. That's what I'm seeing from everybody. That is it. Let's see. We better draft an offensive tackle, and I will say that is what Trevor Sikkema said. He has Paris Johnson to the Jets. We talked about that on our podcast. And the same thing too. They're 40 seconds behind live gameplay, so like you're getting this juxtaposition of watching on the television and seeing, oh wow, that catch. Like again, I'm not trying to shit on those guys or anyone that does it. Just to me, it just doesn't do it for me personally. But different strokes, different folks. Momo, let's meet at a Jet Bar in New York City opening day. That'd be cool. I don't know if I would do that though. If I went all the way out there, I probably just want to go to the game. But that sounds interesting. Rico, just at 9th degree, you just think about someone and they get like flipped, like almost like telepathic, like they get thrown around. I don't know. That sounds cool. There is no question Buffalo is going to give me the silent treatment. Momo, can you snatch? Momo, Boy Green, can you snatch the pebble from my hand? Again, there's only one way to find out. Can you catch a bullet with your teeth at 8th degree? Oh, this is great. You guys are phenomenal. 4th degree is a big achievement. Congrats, Boy Green. Thank you so much. Well, I haven't got it yet, but I sure hope to. Thank you. Yes, we will see. Let's see. Hawk, I may be mistaken, but you only reach Grandmaster when one of your students reaches Master. Several of his students have. He's again, Grandmaster Cam runs a great organization. They have 3 schools in the Rochester area: Irondequoit, Greece, and Penfield. I am under their network, so it's Master Kim, and then there's a bunch of schools like there's 2 Watertown schools, Sunset and Master Weast. We're in the Oswego branch where there's only one. It's Master Pryor's Taekwondo, and he has several masters. Several masters. I don't want to speak a couple and miss on several, but they have several masters under their network. So yeah, maybe that's it too, because I didn't recognize it as a certain degree test on that. Okay, the martial arts comment are getting too silly. YouTube, Kubiak, offensive coordinator, Wisenhunt. I haven't heard Ken Wisenhunt's name in a while. I'd love to see your fighting stance. Yeah, I'll have to. Again, I have no room here to be able to do it, but I am both occasionally, kind of here, and occasionally I'll kind of drop the hands. But I just try to bait people just so I can do backspin kicks and like counter moves. So I try to like bait people, and I'm pretty fast, or at least I think so. So I can kind of like get in and out, like come in, do back out, and like V. One of the V's is the front leg roundhouse kick, double punch, left, right, roundhouse kick. So you kind of come in and out on an opponent. It's a V. We used to practice that in the dojo. Jay Spector, can Boy Green beat Daniel LaRusso in a fight? That needs to be answered. I am looking forward to that as well. Man, more super chats. You guys are in it. This is amazing. With Aikido being the most effective martial art in existence, who would win, Steven Seagal or Zach Wilson? God, I think that's something we need to see on pay-per-view, to be honest with you. That's Daniel, I appreciate the super chat. I think that is what we need. We need to see it. Rico, that is a high-level troll comment, and he paid $5 to do it. Again, I like left it out there, but that is interesting. And I don't believe his story is over as I'm seeing it here. Oh my God, Co, please. If we definitely got to go wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, he's not in this draft. He's only available in 2024. But when he got injured in the college football playoff against Georgia, like that changed the game, obviously. And a legacy. His father played here at Syracuse. I love Marvin Harrison. Yes, he would be amazing. Hawk, I bet Lincoln Thomason plays better next year. He's my guard if the new OC he is my gauge for if the new OC is good. Oh, that's an interesting way to evaluate it. I think he's just going to be better. There's no way. It was so weird how bad he was. I don't think that's sustainable in any way. For sure. Walt Michaels is the worst commentator. Wow, we're just getting random stuff. Vern, Paul, I want you on 24/7 Jets and other topics. Well, Vern, I mean, I'm open to it. I've only been on 24/7 Talks once, and that was during their draft special. I'll be on anytime. So, people, I think it's up to all you fans. If you want to see me on there, you got to light them up and go crazy to get me to get on the show. That would be good. I've heard a lot of people say this about Jake Asman, that he hates different opinions and blocks people in the comments. I can't speak to the validity of some of those, but I've enjoyed being on his show. But I've heard a lot of people say he likes to be right, and he does not appreciate other opinions. That's what I've heard from fans, but I don't know the validity to that. Hawk, Paul, you bring the chutzpah. I appreciate the extra effort to have an identity in the space and be original. Again, that's why, again, I think some people love me, some people hate me. Um, I'm just kind of myself, and I just kind of put I will say, here's a quick story. We're 2+ hours. Good Lord, this is the longest live stream in history. I've had a lot of great stories, and hopefully one day I could tell these on different podcasts. I met Steve Levy. He was once the voice of Monday Night Football. He is an alum of my university, SUNY Oswego, and he did a speaking engagement where he came back to the school. I came up to Steve Levy. I heard he was a Jets fan, and I know his career, obviously. And I came up to Steve. I said, Steve, I want some advice. I'm a big Jets fan. I'd love to work around the Jets, work for the NFL, work and do something. I'm like, do you have any advice for me? He's like, Steve turns to me and says, I got advice for you. Ditch the Jets. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you could love the Jets, be a Jets fan, but in the closet, like you can't be biased. Like you can't be all like he looked at me. I dressed up, but I had like some Jet on, like whether it was a Jet pendant or something, whatever. I was supporting them in some form or fashion. And Steve said, ditch the Jets. Like you can't do it. There are two big points in my life that have led me to this point. Number one, Steve Levy saying, ditch the Jets. Like you can't do it. You got to be unbiased. You just got to be like suit and tie. No crazy opinions on the Jet stuff. Like keep that to yourself. Like don't go too crazy. I'm painting a bad picture, but like don't go too crazy on the Jets. Be an unbiased party. I heard that from Steve, and obviously he's been wildly successful. And I sat on it. And then I said to myself, screw that. With all due respect, like I heard that advice and I said, screw it. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to embrace more than ever. Like I'm going to go the opposite direction of what Steve Levy said. And I'm going to come on here. I'm going to tell you I'm a Jets fan. I also cover the team transparently for Heavy on Jets, where I write articles and podcasts, do all kinds of things. But I'm a fan. I love the Jets. But I feel like knowing the Jets as well as we do as fans makes us even more akin to when things are going wrong. I'm not green glasses. Again, I am an optimistic guy, but I'm not green glasses and everything that happens is great. Wow, fire Mike LaFleur, that's spectacular. Even though I think it will work out, we'll see. But like, I don't just say everything's groovy. Like everything the Jets do, I'm like, oh, that's great. Like the Jets lost to the Dolphins. You know what? They really gave their all out there. No, I was pissed. So I feel like I'm very honest. So I got that one bit of advice from Steve Levy, again, the former Monday Night Football voice, and he told me to ditch the Jet stuff. I went the opposite way. There's another one in radio. I won't mention this individual's name because I just won't. There was a person in my radio career that saw I had 1,400 followers at the time on Twitter. And right now, what do we have? I'm very proud of this. This is all great. My Twitter following. We're up to 9,700 followers plus. I can't wait to get to 10,000. It'll be a huge milestone. So more on that later. Again, follow @PoorGreen25, scrolling ticker baby. We're at 9,700 plus followers. I, working in my job, could not cover the Jets physically. I couldn't be in the press conference, couldn't be in the room. But thanks to the New York Jets being such a progressive NFL team, they live streamed their press conferences and still do to this day. Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, they didn't, but they released it later. So anywho, I was able to cover the Jets from Oswego, New York. And I got advice from when I was in Syracuse doing the radio show. During breaks, I'd be covering the Jets. So like if Robert Saleh said Zach Wilson's out for the season, I'm making this up, and I live tweeted, say, Robert Saleh says Zach Wilson's out for the season, tweet. And one of the people from radio came over and said, Paul, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just tweeting out the news that he just said. Like it's within seconds. Like I can operate with the new technology, new and heavy quotes, of covering the Jets just as if someone was in the room, and I don't have the benefit of being in the room right now because of my life. So I'm covering the Jets from here. And he said, that's dumb. You look like an idiot. You're pretending you have access when you don't, or whatever. Way back when, this is what he was saying. And like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. Let the experts do it. And I sat there and thought for a second, because this person was in a position of power. And I'm like, maybe what he's saying is right. Then again, in my life, fork in the road, I said, screw that. I know I can cover this team from here. And while it's not the same level of access, if I was in the locker room, that would be great. And hopefully one day I'm back in there. It's been cool to be there a couple of times. But like, to be able to be in there and do all that stuff. But like, no, we with today's technology, we can cover the team from afar and be able to do a really damn good job with it. So that was another point in my life where advice came from the other side, and I said, screw that noise. I'm going to keep going, and that's what I did, and it's evolved into the career. Those were two bits of information that came big time. Um, let's see. Yes, Tommy Boy is great. Rico the pup. Chris Farley is the goat. Yes, he is. Fat guy, little coat. Yes, yes, he is. Fat guy in a little coat. Let's see. Let's go to Wilner. Farley is and always will be the man. His last appearance hosting Saturday Night Live was tough to watch. He had oxygen tank in the room because he was so out of breath. Not surprised when he died. Yeah, I believe there was a drug overdose, if I remember correctly. So yeah, gone way too soon. Way too soon. Let's see. Cashman played well. Yep. Jake is wrong a few times, but rarely. Oh, that must be nice. Can't miss an OC. It's super important. We need offensive tackles, linebacker, safety. Lamar, let's go. Yep. I'm skipping through here. And Omar, yes, we just heard tonight Paul take L's and some of his takes. I respect that. Yeah, I missed a lot of them, to be honest with you. I thought Zach Wilson was going to blow up this year. He did not. Massive L on that take. I'm trying to think of some other ones. I don't like being wrong like anybody. You could ask several members of my family, but there are several L's that I can take on things that I've been wrong about. I thought the Jets were going to win 9 games this year. They only won 7, so I was also wrong on that. But yeah, I have no problem being wrong. Unfortunately, it happens way too often for my liking, but that's neither here nor there. Trent the Great. Any chance Ron Middleton gets elevated? I figure not likely, but it would be great. He was actually one of the listed candidates by Zach Rosenblatt in his athletic article. Again, it seems unlikely, but I guess it's possible. Hawk, Anderson Silva, Vitor Belfort, 100%. That was the one I was thinking of. Yes, thank you. Oh, that was another good one. Wonder Boy, Kevin Holland. Oh, how did I miss that? Yes. Bat to a dead horse. That's a hard metaphor to bring up. I've never heard of that metaphor before. Maybe that's a real thing. Like I've heard of beating a dead horse, but literally like a bat to a dead horse's body was very vivid in my mind. Okay. Let's keep going here. We got to finish up or my fiance is going to kill me. Let's go. I'm not going to bring up that joke, but that was funny. What do you think if we get Hackett and somehow Rodgers? Again, I'm cool with some of the combinations: Greg Olsen, Derek Carr, Hackett, Rodgers, and there's a couple other ones my brain's not thinking of. It would have been LaFleur and Jimmy Garoppolo, I guess, but Rico the Boy Green, I bottle it up. Yeah, that is incredibly unhealthy. Joseph with the YouTube super sticker. Thank you very much. As we're wrapping up here, 2 hours and 20 minutes. You guys are wild. You guys all have lives to get to. Yet you're spending it all with me. That is humbling. Rico the Pup. Also, Boy Green, I will shatter you with a kick. I think you're finding a way to vent, my guy. Yeah, that is true. It is an art. It is an art. Daniel, Paul, if you could choose any fighter in the world named Steven Seagal, who would you choose? I guess Steven Seagal is the answer. Although John Jones is nasty. Anderson Silva, the Spider, is nasty. Chuck Liddell has all his flaws, but the Iceman is good. I'm trying to think of others. Uriah Hall is a freak. He is so underrated. He is so freaking underrated. But he's had a lot of loss in his career too. But for sure. Steven Seagal on Saturday Night Live. I'll have to see that. I can't remember that. He was banned from the show. Good Lord. All right. The more you know. Let's see. Mike LaFleur firing is bad news. I know some people weren't that. All the street fight. Feeling better about tonight. Ding, ding. LaFleur is gone. Now, almost like ding, ding. The witch is dead. Let's see. Jesus, Borgen, you could kill someone, shave your beard, and get away with it. Yeah, that's probably true. I look totally different. Even in that picture that you saw, that like I have like no beard, it still looks different from like the one shave beard to nothing. I look like a child. Mom, I would show a video. There's no way I'm going to be able to get that in enough time where you guys aren't all just waiting around. We'll do that for a future thing for sure. I promise. I promise. Arizona Jet. Thank you for the super chat, my Darth Vader friend. Carr, Kingsbury 2023, Rogers Hackett, my pipe dream. Man, both of those sound sexy. I'm all about it. You guys say good pick. You love that. Paul, how tall are you? I'm 5'3" on a slanted hill. That is the blunt truth. I am very short. 5'3" on a slanted hill. That is it. Uh, uh, let's see. Jay Spector. All the reports say Mike LaFleur leaving is mutual. Sounds like they give him a choice to leave or get fired. It's also like like again, I joked earlier that me and my girlfriend's all mutually broke up. Like it's just a way to save face, I guess, instead of firing him. I don't know. Some of the reporting I'm questioning. Kevin Chatter, where does Boy Green come from? I was born in Norfolk, Virginia, on a naval base. I lasted there for about a week, and then we moved all over the country because my dad was in the Navy for 20 years. I lived in every place from Georgia, South Carolina, Saratoga Springs, New York, all over the place. Most recently, New York. So I've been all over the place. But yes, parts unknown, as someone said in here. Trying to catch up. I see I'm so behind on the comments. Let's see. Will man be gone? God, we can only hope so. God, we can only hope so. That's also a good point, Omar. Also, if someone has a bad reaction during in-game live stream, you'll have that forever. The internet is forever. That's also true. Catching the bullet in the teeth. Yes, The Last Dragon. There's another one. And the Bruce Lee story is another good one. Rico the Pup. I kind of love that the chat has gone off the rails. That's funner than just arguing about offense coordinators and quarterbacks. Makes us all human. I think that's a good way to put it, for sure. Let's see. Let's see. Jacob, could be right. Jake Asman, a lot of Jake Asman going on here. Henny on Henny, blah 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 blah. Henny, trying to see if there's anything else I'm missing. Boyd Greed, beard looking good. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, very full, very full. Again, I gotta get up to the barber. I like getting it all lined up and cleaned up. You know, so more work to be done there, but it is very full, very full. I do that. Highland Prime. Adam Schefter is a Jet fan, but you'd never know. Also, he worked in Denver forever, so I'm sure he has, a strong feeling for that. Chris Berman is a Buffalo Bills fan, not a Jets fan. But yeah, so I think it is. It is very selective. It seems like in that department. Again, Rich Eisen is an open Jets fan. Mike Greenberg, Greeny, is an open Jets fan. So it's becoming more accepted, it seems, but still. Again, Steve Levy gave me that advice, and I went in a different direction. That was quite a few years ago, though. Kevin Score, congratulations. The goal is not to work a day in your life. You're doing what you love. Again, getting the paycheck every week. I'm like, what? How is this possible? So all the credit to my father, though. He worked very hard, 20 years in the Navy, to provide me an opportunity, not just to work, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do this, so I'm not crapping on anybody. But all you guys, maybe some of you guys out there may be working normal jobs, and then this is your Jets escape when I'm talking or Jake Asman's talking or whoever Jet person in your life is talking, and this is like your escape. I wouldn't have had this opportunity without my dad. So some of you guys work your normal jobs. I get the benefit, and it's never lost on me doing sports talk radio, doing these live streams, doing Jets articles, doing all kinds of sports shows, and calling football games. I do that on the side. Calling baseball games, I do that as well. So again, it never escapes me how lucky I am. Momo Damo, seems like Jake only answers super chats. Yeah, I mean, obviously super chats helps the train keep rolling. So anytime you guys can afford it, I appreciate it. But I try to answer like all the normal comments too. I try to mix it up. I try to, but it's not always easy. Rico, I'm a man of the people. I appreciate that. That's the kindest compliment I could get, Rico. Thank you very much. Oh, did he say that? I have 18,000 followers, I can't get to everyone. He just announced on YouTube he has 25,000 subscribers or something. Gosh darn it. I have 3,000. All these people I'm seeing, like Matt O'Leary, 10,000. Green Bean is close to 10,000. Like, man, I need to get to that one day. That's for sure. Uh, okay, I need to catch up to this, or we're all gonna stay up. So we'll be on till midnight here. Chuck Norris is Steven Seagal's idol. Okay, Chuck Norris, Michael Clemens. Ooh, that's a fight I want to see. But always those who deserve it. Comments just forever. Da, 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 da. I hear you. Clicks for vids. Yeah, yeah. A lot of the headlines are can be questionable. Boygrin is funny as hell. Appreciate that. Yeah, I've had a few people say I should have gotten into comedy, but I don't know if that could just be a joke in itself. Like, should get into comedy so we can laugh at you. But it may also be true. I don't know. Kevin Score, Poison the band. I love Brett Michaels. I love Poison. That's one of my favorite bands. For sure. Hawk, Paul will get you to 10K by week 1. LFG. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. And I'm assuming you're talking about Twitter, but YouTube would be cool too. Wink. But yeah, if we could get there, what is that? What are we up to? Let me hit the refresh button on this. Where are we at on Twitter followers? We were at hit refresh. Right, 9,729. So we are. What is that? What's my math on that? 271. 271 away from 10K on Twitter. That'd be cool. See if we could get there. I'm here for your commentaries. You're cool too. Thanks, man. Thanks, Boy Green. Love spending time with my Jets brethren. Thanks, everybody. On YouTube, hit the like, everyone. Yes, that is a constant reminder. I cannot believe we just did this for 2.5 hours, the longest stream in history. We've never done this. Unbelievable. Thank you. That is spectacular. That is spectacular. So, guys, thank you so much. Yes, if you're watching live or after the fact and you are here 2.5 hours in, God bless God bless you. Bless your heart. Hit the like button, everybody. Hit subscribe down below for more juicy New York Jets content and Taekwondo and mixed martial arts and anything and everything in between. Anything is possible, certainly on these shows. It was great to spend a very late Wednesday night and into Thursday morning with all of you. Momo and Damo, thank you so much for the YouTube super chat for $5. Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you, guys. Hawk, 3.19K to 10K. It's like when you say it, it's almost like the joke, like, guys, I am only 7,000 subscribers away from 10, so get it going. As opposed to someone saying, I'm only 5 followers away, help me get there. Yeah, we're 7,000 away, baby, but we'll get there. Oh, there you go, Rico. Boom, the bar has been set. Let's get you to 25K on Twitter and 10K on YouTube. God, you guys, you know what? You guys do this. God's work, baby. Feel free. I appreciate it. I didn't come in here for the followers or the subscribers or anything. I went here to have fun and just part of the process. I'm competitive, so I'm like, man, I'd love to get even more so we could get to more people and talk to more people. So it's amazing. Momo, Boy Green never asked for super chat, so here's on you. Thank you, man. That means the world. Yeah. Again, if people have the means, amazing. If you don't, I understand. That's why I try to get to as many comments as possible. You guys carve out your time to spend it with me talking Jets and everything else for that matter. It means the world to me that you guys even take the time. So I really appreciate it. All of those mean the world, and I hope I try to make that apparent and clear. I have a lot of energy. I try to make that plain and clear. Anytime anyone decides to do a super chat, I try to make you guys feel like the most special person on the earth because I feel that way. So that's amazing. So thank you. I hope that comes across when we do our super chats and even just in general. Rico, this was a great way to end the Wednesday night. Thanks, Paul. Hawk, the whole gang. Much love from Michigan. Cool. I'm here in New York. Awesome. Hitting the sack. That's amazing. Finger Lake Jet fan. More subs so you could get a nice big house by the power plant. Isn't that the goal, baby? A nice big mansion. Beautiful. Hit the like, Kev_Chada. Take care all. You'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody. Like I said, hoping it won't be probably 2.5 hours tomorrow night, but we're hoping to have Zach Rosenblatt on tomorrow. We'll dive deeper into these lists in more detail. Thanks, everybody, for carving out the time. If you're on here for 5 minutes or 2.5 hours, either way, we appreciate your support. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next time. Thank you. Good night. From Wednesday night, it's Boy Green right here on the show. Thanks, everybody.